the magician in the world of Doraemon. This video is purely for entertainment and does not infringe on copyrights or laws. The rights to the novel and image belong to the original author. We do not claim ownership. Don't like waiting and want to listen to this fanfic in full now? Subscribe to our Patreon, where you'll find the best fanfics. Chapter 251. It is important to choose the right major. But everyone obviously underestimated Fat Tiger's determination. He didn't have many opportunities to show his face on this stage, so he would not give up easily. Fat Tiger still walked over and changed to a brand new microphone. This time everyone tested the quality of the microphone and confirmed that there was no problem. Seeing that he was still not giving up, and as his eyes flashed, and a wind blade cut through the wooden board above and hit Fat Tiger's head. Fat Tiger didn't say anything at the time, and his eyes rolled back and he fainted. Oh no, call an ambulance. The host immediately panicked and hurriedly directed the staff. It was not easy to deal with Fat Tiger on the ceiling and the ground, and the time was almost up. I'm so sorry. Today, Miss Ito Tsubasa will present the last song for us. Ito Tsubasa then walked up from the stage at the back and bowed to the audience below. Hello everyone, I'm Ito Tsubasa. Today, I will present the ending song of the Super Junior show to you. Ito Tsubasa's popularity was off the charts, and the people below immediately shouted Ito Tsubasa's name in unison. Ito Tsubasa lived up to expectations and ended the show with a perfect song. Seeing that today's event finally came to an end, the director and the host collapsed in the backstage. This day was really crazy. Among the 3 reality shows, only the second one, Youth Knows, was better. But it wasn't much better. Now there are still people making trouble in the office. The host suggested, "Director, why don't we change to recorded broadcasts in the future?" The director nodded weakly. "No problem, we will record broadcasts in the future." But at this time, they suddenly received a message from their boss. "What did you do today? Why is the rating of the youth show as high as 56%? This means that in the time period just now, 56 out of every 100 households with televisions were watching their show." The director almost exploded. Their usual ratings are only about 60 at the highest, and the current average is almost the highest they have ever reached. After briefly explaining the matter, the boss was also very happy. After hanging up the phone, the director cautiously said to the host next to him, "How about we continue the live broadcast?" The host collapsed when he heard it. "I quit. I want to resign." Woo woo. Yu and Dazi and the others didn't know what happened later. They packed up today's spoils and hurriedly found the useless duo to leave the city. On the way back, Dakshin and the others were still struggling with what happened just now. What happened to Fat Tiger on the stage just now? Why was he so miserable? These two were not as smart as Ziofu, so they didn't think that Yu and Dazi used his superpowers to play tricks. Zayashin comforted him. "Forget it. Anyway, Fat Tiger didn't sing in the end. Isn't this a happy ending?" The two thought about it and felt that what he said made sense, so they didn't ask any more questions. When they got home, they were both hungry. Now they don't have adults to take care of them like other children, and they have to cook dinner by themselves. By the way, it seems that when the adults come back every day, they also cook dinner by themselves. "Yinkei, do you have any vegetables at home?" Seeing that Dekisugi went straight to the refrigerator, and as he asked him about the remaining food, Zayashin shook his head. "There are no remaining vegetables and meat now, so let's use the old method." There was no other way. The two of them cast their eyes on the poor plant in the yard. Walking over, after and as he injected new vitality into it, it had to spit out 2 brand new fruits. "Tonight, we can only be lazy and eat ramen." Zayashin also nodded. They opened the fruit and the aroma of ramen hit them. The two picked up chopsticks. Actually, eating ramen is also quite good. After eating, and as he disposed of the fruit shell, and then Zayashin couldn't wait to try his new telescope. He set up the telescope and observed the sky carefully. But it didn't take long for him to walk away disappointed. Because the weather was bad today, the starry sky was blocked by clouds at night. Seeing that he seemed very disappointed, and as he decided to help him, and walked over to pick him up with the astronomical telescope. Then, the dark star cloak appeared behind Dazuki, and before he could react, it teleported them to the top of the cloud. The first thing Dekisugi did, after coming down was to complain to him. Hey, don't make decisions for me without my permission. Then he saw the stars in the sky and was immediately fascinated by the beauty. Seeing that he had taken the bait, and as he said, then I will respect you and send you back now. As he said that, he was about to go over and take the telescope. Dekisugi's reaction was faster, and he pushed and Dazi away. Since you are here, let me see it first. Then he stood on the cloud and concentrated on observing the starry sky. This cloud had long been fixed by and Dazi with a spell, and it could not escape. He also found a comfortable place to lie down. The moonlight here was really beautiful, and he hadn't been so relaxed for a long time. After all, he had to give Nobita extra lessons every afternoon recently, and listen to Fat Tiger singing. And he still had homework to do. Wait, homework? and Dazi was so nervous that he almost fell from the cloud top. Chumushin, we too haven't done our homework today. and Dazi shouted immediately. Zyashin was also panicked, covering her head and shouting, oh no, there are too many things to do today, and I forgot about the homework. The two of them hurriedly put away the astronomical telescope and teleported back to the room. Damn, why do we have to do homework again today? The two used their mental power to float the homework and pens, and began to write and draw frantically at their seats. After more than 10 minutes, they threw the finished homework on the table and finally breathed a sigh of relief. After finishing today's affairs, he went up to the cloud top again to look at the starry sky for a long time. and Dazi was disturbed by his homework, so he took out the dark blade and started practicing sword in another place. The night passed harmoniously. The next day they came to school, and when their classmates saw and Dazi and Chumushin, they all surrounded them and asked for autographs. Student Izuki, you are so smart that you even know everything about Egypt. An info handed her notebook to Izuki. Can you please sign it for me? Zyashin touched her head a little embarrassedly. It's nothing, I just read a lot of books. Student Gian, I didn't expect your swordsmanship to be so good, can you teach me? Several burly boys gathered in front of and Dazi's desk, wanting to learn swordsmanship from him. and Dazi looked at the girl next to Zyashin, and was silent for a long time. No. Chapter 252 Nobita starts playing pranks. From today's lesson, and Dazi understood how important it is to choose the right major. In the afternoon, he was still surrounded by a group of brothers similar to Fat Tiger. Angshan and Junfei were even more unbearable. They hugged his legs and almost called him dad. The two of them have been bullied by Fat Tiger for many years. Although and Dazi has always beaten Fat Tiger, they just thought he was born with supernatural power. It was not until yesterday that they knew that and Dazi could actually use swordsmanship. Therefore, the two made up their minds to learn a few moves from him no matter what, otherwise they would never let go. But how dare he teach others? The soul-devouring monument in the sea of consciousness has been paying attention to his movements. What if he teaches today and his whole family explodes tomorrow? In the end, he helplessly picked up one of them with one hand and sent the two back home. Dekisugi was much more relaxed. A group of girls surrounded him and asked him to popularize some interesting events in the world. Every time he thought of this, he felt a deep malice. He thought he could relax after sending Angshan Hero back, but Angshan's mother actually recognized and Dazi. Not only was she not angry, she also pulled him into the room. Angshan handed over a plate of snacks. Student Gian, where did you learn swordsmanship? Why have I never heard of it? That's right, such a powerful dojo, why not introduce it to our Angshan? Looking at the enthusiastic mother and son, and Dazi picked up the teacup and took a sip to calm down. As the saying goes, you don't hit a smiling person with their attitude. It's really hard for him to refuse. After discussing with the soul-devouring monument for a while, he decided to give Angshan a chance. Okay, but we are very strict in accepting people here. Are you sure you want to try? Seeing that and Dazi finally gave in, Angshan quickly agreed. Of course I want to try. He put his hand on Angshan's table first. Come on, arm wrestle with me first. At this time, Angshan suddenly felt the other party's deep malice. What a joke. Even Fat Tiger's strength is not as good as yours. Do you want me to die? Seeing that he was reluctant to extend his hand, and Dazi guessed his concerns and quickly explained his intentions to him. Don't get me wrong, I don't want you to beat me. I just want to see how much strength I can use to compete with you later. Use all your strength so that I can have an accurate evaluation of you." He was relieved and put his hand on the table, trying his best to move his hand. When and as he almost felt his limit, he let go of his hand. "You should have bamboo swords at home, right? Let me see your basics." His mother brought 2 bamboo swords and handed them to and Dashi and Angshan respectively. They stood in the yard below, and and Dashi asked Angshan to show him his swordsmanship talent. At this time, Nobita's newly bought comics were snatched away by Fat Tiger again, and he was crying to Doraemon at home. "Doraemon, is there any props that can let me avenge my revenge?" Doraemon knelt on the ground, watching Nobita perform a puppet show of Fat Tiger robbing Nobita expressionlessly. Finally, the blue fat man gave his own evaluation with a blank expression, really, like an idiot. But Nobita was not willing to give in, and he still acted cute and pitiful in front of Doraemon. Doraemon was a little doting on Nobita, so he had no choice but to agree. "Well, this is a magic hand, which should be enough to help you get your comics back." Nobita took it happily and tried it out on his hand. This prop is equivalent to telekinesis, which is to use the movements of your hands to match your thoughts to achieve the desired effect. For example, if you want to take something away, just think about taking it away and make a gesture of taking it with your hand. At that time, the magic hand will automatically release telekinesis according to your thoughts and movements to control the movement of the object. But I have to say that Nobita is really a genius in the use of props. In just 1 minute, Nobita successfully mastered the use of this magic hand. Doraemon said with relief, "Since you can use it, I will go out first." Nobita and Doraemon went downstairs together. Doraemon went to buy the dorayaki that was on sale today, while Nobita went to find Fat Tiger. Soon, Nobita was lucky enough to meet Fat Tiger on the street. At this time, Fat Tiger was looking down at the comics and didn't notice Nobita behind him. "Such a great comic, it's such a waste to let Nobita read it, haha." Fat Tiger laughed while walking and didn't forget to mock Nobita. Nobita heard it clearly from behind and was immediately furious. "You guy, you took my comics and laughed at me for not being worthy of reading this book. That's too much." At this moment, Nobita made up his mind. Originally, he just wanted to take back the comics, but now he wanted to use the magic hand to give Fat Tiger a good beating. "Well, first of all, let me try," Nobita said while stretching out his hand and pulling it forward in the air. Fat Tiger immediately felt that his ear was grabbed by someone, and the force was not small. It hurt so much that tears came out of his face. "Damn it, who is playing a trick on me?" When the pain was over, Fat Tiger immediately looked around, trying to find the murderer. But Nobita was hiding behind the corner in Fat Tiger's blind spot, and he couldn't see him at all. Nobita continued to use the magic hand to wreak havoc on Fat Tiger's face, rubbing his face constantly. In the end, Fat Tiger was frightened by the haunted scene and fled, and the comic book in his hand fell to the ground. Picking up his comic book, Nobita looked at Fat Tiger's back and was very excited. "Great, as long as I have this magic hand, I can do whatever I want." Just when he began to get carried away, the voice of the blue fat man came from behind. "Nobita, you've gone too far. Now that your comics have been taken, you should return the magic hand to me, right?" But Nobita didn't mean to return it, but use the magic hand to throw the comic book to Doraemon in the air. "That won't do. The fun is just about to begin." Doraemon got anxious when he heard it, because he knew that when Nobita played a prank, he really didn't recognize anyone. So the blue fat man immediately rushed forward. "Damn Nobita, give me back the magic hand." Nobita stretched out his hand and pushed forward, and Doraemon immediately felt like he was hit by a truck and flew 10 meters away. "Then I will borrow the magic hand first, and I will return it to you when I have enough fun." Doraemon lay on the ground and said weakly, "Nobita, you will definitely get retribution." Nobita, who had already walked far away, didn't hear what Doraemon said at all. He hummed a little song along the way and passed by Shizuka's house accidentally. Since I accidentally passed by, why not take a look at what Shizuka is doing? Thinking of this, Nobita looked at Shizuka's room. Chapter 253, Team Up to Attack. At this time, Shizuka was trying her mother's cosmetics, holding the lipstick and gesturing at her lips twice. After a while, Shizuka put down the lipstick. Sure enough, it's a little too early to use lipstick now. Nobita discovered Shizuka's little secret, and immediately his evil taste came up again. You are my wife. It is my duty to make you beautiful. Shizuka tried the cosmetics and was about to put them away. But at this moment, she suddenly felt that her hand was out of control. An external force manipulated Shizuka's arm, and the evil hand stretched out to the foundation, lipstick, eyebrow pencil and other things beside her. 2 minutes later, a scream went straight to the sky, and Nobita quickly fled the scene of the tragedy. Just after running around to corners, he saw his rival in love, Izuki-chan, walking towards him. When Sayashin saw Nobita, she went up to him and said hello. Nobita, why are you so flustered? Did Fat Tiger bully you again? Nobita shook his head. That's not the case. By the way, why are you here, Dekisugi? Sayashin touched his head because Shizuka called me just now and said she wanted to discuss some questions with me. After that, Sayashin showed her homework book. Nobita immediately thought of Shizuka putting on makeup and suddenly felt that his head was heavier. Putting the extra things on his head aside, Nobita waved goodbye to Dekisugi. Then he hid in the corner and began to use magic hands to take revenge on his rival. Sayashin was walking on the road and suddenly felt an invisible hand tearing his homework book. Seeing that his homework book was about to be snatched away, Sayashin quickly used his telekinesis to wrestle with the hand. Nobita was also a little surprised to see that Dekisugi's power was so great. But this time the things were not his comics, so he didn't feel bad if they were torn. Hey, I see you tear up your homework later. How are you going to hand it in tomorrow? As he said that, he added a little more force. He had already heard the sound of the homework book being unable to bear the weight, so he had to let go of his hand. The homework book flew out and fell into a ditch. Dekisugi hurriedly went over to pick up his homework book with a heartache, and at the same time, he released his mental power and found Nobita running and laughing. Seeing that his homework book was already dirty, Sayashin had to go to Shizuka's house first, apologize to her, and then go back to clean it up. As soon as he walked into Shizuka's house, he saw Shizuka coming down with a big face. Shizuka, what's wrong with your face? Sayashin didn't mean to laugh at it, but Shizuka was still embarrassed to be seen like this. After washing his face, he told Dekisugi what happened. Sayashin also showed his homework book to Shizuka, and the two of them were immediately furious. So, the two of them walked out of the room angrily, and happened to meet Doraemon, who was also looking for Nobita. Dora-chan, look at Nobita. What did he do with your props? Shizuka said she was very angry now. If she found Nobita, she would definitely beat him up twice. Sayashin didn't plan to do it. After all, he still didn't like to hit people. But if he didn't do it, he could tell his roommate about it. Anyway, Yu and Azzy was his tutor and had plenty of time. Doraemon was also very angry when he saw Nobita's prank. But then he became entangled again. After all, using that thing seemed a little inappropriate. Anyway, let's find Nobita first and take back the props, Doraemon said, and took out the missing person cane from his pocket. Following its guidance, the three of them once again embarked on a revenge journey to find Nobita. After Nobita escaped, he ran to the vicinity of Yasuo's house. At this time, he suddenly heard a sound coming from the yard. His curiosity immediately came up, and he stuck his head into the yard to see what they were doing. After the sword in action's hand was once again knocked away by Yu and Azzy, he shook his head. No, you don't seem to have talent in this area. He also sat on the ground helplessly. The gap between the two was too big. Even if Yu and Azzy only used similar strength as him during the whole process, he was still beaten to a pulp by Azzy. Seeing Azzy exchanging sword skills with others, Nobita wanted to play a prank again. Why are you so serious? Relax for a while. After saying that, he stretched out his hand and imagined that he was tickling. The teacher at the kendo hall shouldn't be tickled by you like this. Haha. As he was talking, Yu and Azzy suddenly felt itchy on his body and laughed. Action and his mother were immediately confused. Just say it. Why are you laughing at us suddenly? Haha. Someone is playing a prank on me. Haha. After finally finishing a sentence, Nobita finally stopped. And as he immediately opened the induction technique and saw Nobita laughing behind the wall. Seeing him like this, he was immediately furious. Nobita Nobi, you are courting death. After saying that, and as he aimed at Nobita, injected magic power into the bamboo sword and threw the weapon in his hand. Nobita was indulging in his prank when suddenly something pierced the wall and passed by him. He turned his head stiffly and saw the bamboo sword and the spider web-like cracks on the wall. Nobita swallowed hard and cold sweat kept flowing down his body. At this moment, the bamboo sword was horizontal and the direction of the blade was aimed at Nobita. Nobita saw that the situation was not good and he squatted down quickly. Then the bamboo sword cut through the wall, passed by Nobita's head and brought up a clump of hair. After and as he drew a straight line on the wall, he walked out with the bamboo sword. Angshin and his mother were frightened by his sudden rage and hugged each other. The two looked at the crack on the wall. Should he pay for it or not? Finally, Angshin plucked up the courage to walk towards and as soon as he walked out of the door, he saw Angshin lying on the ground and as he was standing in front of him with a bamboo sword. He looked at Angshin who was paralyzed by fear and drew a straight line in front of me with the bamboo sword. Do you have any last words? If you want to say it now. There will be no chance later. At the critical moment of life and death, Dakshin's mind suddenly became bright. No, the magic hand is ineffective against and Dazi who is furious, so I can only use it on myself. He immediately used the magic hand on himself, and Dakshin immediately soared into the sky. And as he did not chase him, because she had felt it just now, and the people who would clean up for him would be here soon. Angshin witnessed the whole process of the tragedy and asked and Dazi carefully, what happened just now? He handed the bamboo sword back to Angshin. Nothing, it's just that Dakshin used Doraemon's props to play a prank. Angshin took the bamboo sword and took a good look. It was indeed an ordinary bamboo sword, right? Then why could use this sword to pierce the wall? Is the quality of my wall not good? Thinking of this, Angshin raised the sword and chopped at the wall. With a click, the bamboo sword broke on the wall. And as he stood by and looked at him with a caring look, use a bamboo sword to cut the wall. You must be stupid. Chapter 254. Is it enough, kid? A few minutes later, Doraemon came over with a missing person stick, followed by Zayashin and Shizuka. Seeing the traces here, Doraemon was immediately furious. What's going on? Did Nobita do all this? Realizing that Doraemon took the initiative to let Nobita take the blame, and as he followed his words without hesitation. Yes, it was Nobita who did it. If I hadn't stopped him, he would have almost demolished Angshin's house. Then he pulled up Angshin, who was still in a daze, and continued to forcefully explain. Look at how angry Angshin was. He even cut off his sword. Angshin just came back to his senses and wanted to say something, but was glared back by and Dazi. Under his silent warning, Angshin said tactfully, yes, it was Nobita who did it. Doraemon sighed, took out the restoration ray, and restored the wall that was damaged by and Dazi. Seeing that Nobita was so excessive, the blue fat man also made up his mind. Please follow me. I will let Nobita get the punishment he deserves. After that, Doraemon walked towards his home. The others looked at each other and followed him. However, and as he first found Zayashin. What's the matter? Why are you here too? Zayashin took her homework book and showed it to him. Nobita played a prank and threw my homework book into the ditch. Doraemon heard what Zayashin said and quickly took out the recovery light and cleaned up Zayashin's homework book. Soon they came to the door of Nobita's house. At this time, his mother was dancing under Nobita's control. Doraemon immediately stepped forward to drive Nobita away, and his mother was apologizing to his friends. When the things outside were dealt with, Doraemon asked everyone to come to his room, and Doraemon took out a TV from his pocket. This is a time TV. You can check the situation at any time and place. As he said, Doraemon adjusted the TV to the current position of Nobita. At this time, Nobita was in the open space, playing with the snake in Sunia's hand with his magic hand. Sunia was surprised that his toy snake suddenly came alive and was immediately scared to death. What's going on? Is this snake just hibernating? Help, mom. Sunia screamed and fled from the open space. Doraemon suddenly became even more angry. This guy really doesn't know how to restrain himself. He really should be taught a lesson. Doraemon reached into his pocket and took out a pink meatball. This prop is a magic butt, specially used to deal with people who use magic hands to play pranks. Who wants it? In response, Gian, as he stepped forward without hesitation, rolled up his sleeves and stretched his muscles. This prop won't cause any trouble, right? For example, hurting people or something. Doraemon shook his head. Don't worry, it's just the pain that is transmitted. Nothing will happen. Gian, as he nodded. Very good, then I'm relieved. Then he took the meatball and prepared to start. Nobita was immersed in his prank and couldn't help but smile happily. At this moment, he suddenly felt a sharp pain on his buttocks, which made him jump up while holding his buttocks. Ah, what's going on? It hurts. Before Nobita could react, the next wave of pain came up. This time the pain was more terrible than the last time, and he jumped a meter high. Ah, help, help. Someone save me, Doraemon. Although Nobita shouted heartbreakingly, the people in front of the TV had no mercy here. When Nobita didn't even have the strength to shout, Doraemon took out the door and went over. How about Nobita? You have learned your lesson now. Are you willing to return the magic hand to me? Nobita lay on the ground weakly, took off the magic hand, and returned it to Doraemon. Looking at his appearance, he was almost beaten, and everyone's anger was gone. Seeing that the others were no longer angry, Doraemon took out the anywhere door and sent everyone present back one by one, and then dragged Nobita home. After returning home, Gian, as he also took out his homework and started to do it. After all, he was pestered by Angshan today and had no time to do his homework. Xiaoshan took out her basket and went to the street to buy vegetables. After Gian, as he spent more than 10 minutes to finish all his homework, he used magic to clean the house. Then he went to the kitchen to take out the remaining dog food and put it all in front of the dog. Dabe looked at Gian as he in confusion, and his expression seemed to ask him again, is this all today? Dazi nodded helplessly. Yes, there is really no more today. How about you be patient, I will give you more tomorrow. Dabe ranted as he and started to act coquettishly with him. Dazi touched its head helplessly and said, okay, I got it. I'll go buy you some dog food now. This dog is still very obedient. At least when they haven't been home for a few days, it won't bark everywhere and annoy the neighbors. Therefore, Dazi and Xiaoshan usually pamper it. It's not the first time that it has been called out to buy dog food. After the two went out, it didn't start eating, but waited for Yu and Dazi to come back and replenish the rest before it started eating. When Xiaoshan came back and started to cook dinner, Yu and Dazi came home with a bag of dog food. Seeing him coming back with dog food, Dabe hurriedly wagged his tail at him. Yu and Dazi shook his head helplessly and walked towards Dabe. Just when he was about to add more ice to Dabe, Yu and Dazi suddenly had the idea of playing a prank. He scooped up a spoonful of dog food with a shovel and asked him, is it enough? Then his hands kept shaking and the dog food kept spilling back. Dabe's eyes were full of anxiety and he wanted to tell me to stop shaking. Yu and Dazi put the remaining dog food in his food bowl and asked him, how is it? Is it enough, kid? Dabe looked at him pitifully, as if to say, if you can't afford it, just send me away. Seeing this, Yu and Dazi covered his mouth and laughed and filled his food bowl. Dabe ate happily and Yu and Dazi put away his things and went back to prepare his own meal. The next day at school, the teacher asked Chumashin to go up and distribute the test papers. Yes, today is the time for the popular surprise exam. The teacher stood on the podium and said seriously, students, there is still a month before the final exam. Everyone must hurry up and review. Yu and Dazi didn't listen to what he said at all. Anyway, it was not a difficult task for him. But when he thought that Chumashin might drag him to review for the final exam, he suddenly felt bad. This guy becomes neurotic every time the final exam comes. He keeps doing various homework questions and frantically reviews the knowledge of the semester. Last semester, Yu and Dazi was in trouble. He was dragged by Chumashin to do several large review books. He almost vomited after doing so many. While thinking, he sighed and wrote today's test paper. This test paper is still as simple as before. Chapter 255. Everyone's IQ suddenly came online. Because today is Friday, the school was over after the morning class. But after school, Fat Tiger stopped Nobita at the school gate. "Nobita, I'm very upset about the surprise test today, so how about letting me beat you up a bit?" Nobita ran away in a hurry. "Why are you looking for me? Go find Dekisugi and Junfei who have good grades. And Shizuka." Hearing this, Fat Tiger was so angry that he chased Nobita for 3 blocks, but he didn't catch up. "Damn it, I will never let you go easily next time." Fat Tiger panted and roared at Nobita's back unwillingly. "But, Junfei and Dekisugi can't be touched, Shizuka should be fine." Fat Tiger walked towards Shizuka's home, and at the same time, remembered that Shizuka had been wrong recently. This Shizuka seemed to have become more and more handsome since he was fixed by Junfei. What made him even more puzzled was that he and Junfei seemed to have a good relationship. Thinking of this, Fat Tiger couldn't help but start to doubt, did Shizuka have a mental breakdown after being tortured by Junfei, or does he have some strange properties? And Shizuka was also very strange at the beginning. It was obviously his bad luck, so why did he blame Junfei? He kept saying that Junfei was playing a prank, but no matter how you look at it, it couldn't be him. Wait, doesn't Junfei have the power of the sun god now? Fat Tiger's IQ suddenly went online and thought of this. If Shizuka didn't lie, it means that Junfei has always had superpowers. Fat Tiger began to bite his fingers and began to associate other things while recalling many of his experiences with him. The adventure of Treasure Island, the experience of the Puppy Kingdom, the incident of the Sun Kingdom, and the recent adventure in the universe. During this period, it seems that there is a part missing in his memory of Junfei, and the missing part in each adventure is a more critical part of the trip. Fat Tiger thought more and more that something was wrong, so he gave up the idea of looking for Shizuka. Being able to get so close to Junfei, Shizuka and emotion might not be normal. Fat Tiger thought about it and felt that among the people he trusted, only Sunia could discuss with him. So he came to Sunia's house and rang the doorbell. Sunia came out reluctantly because he was facing Fat Tiger, so he was reluctant, but he had to come. "Fat Tiger, what is the matter with you suddenly looking for me?" Fat Tiger ignored Sunia's reluctance and walked into his house. "Sunia, I came here today to discuss something important with you." Sunia closed the door and complained in his heart, "What important things can you have? Most likely a concert or something. But guests are guests, and they should be treated as they should be." Sunia brought 2 plates of juice and snacks and placed them in front of Fat Tiger and sat next to him. "What's the matter? Are you going to have another concert?" Fat Tiger shook his head. "No, it's about Junfei." Ziofu picked up the juice in front of him and took a sip. "Do you want to challenge him?" Fat Tiger looked at Ziofu's nonchalant expression and suddenly became angry. He snatched the juice from Ziofu's hand and said seriously, "Think back about him. Apart from his abnormal fighting power, who stopped the pirates on the treasure island before us?" Ziofu thought for a while. "Wasn't it you and me?" Fat Tiger continued, "Can't you remember any details? As if it was just someone else who told us that it was the 2 of us who stopped the pirates." Ziofu thought for a long time, and his expression gradually became solemn. "Yes, I can't remember anything. Regarding this matter, there is only one sentence in my mind, that the 2 of us stopped the pirates. Then think about it again. What was Junfei doing at that time?" Ziofu didn't hesitate too much. "At that time, it seems that I didn't see him." "Yes, this is just one of the reasons. Think about it again. What happened when you went to the Bianbian Kingdom? Remember Sabaru?" Ziofu began to recall Sabaru's affairs and suddenly remembered something. Sabaru took off the eye patch on his right eye and said that it was the curse of Dr. Kos. "Are you saying that Dr. Chaos controlled Sabal and Dabranda? Strange. Why do I remember that Chaos was an ordinary dog? Could it be?" Sunia also found something wrong because the 2 memories began to contradict each other. So, in this case, part of the memory is lying? But who is lying? Fat Tiger stood up. "The more you think about it, the more you will find that the things related to Junfei are more strange." Sunia also nodded. "That's right. Let's go to the Flat Kingdom now and find Sabal to find out." In this way, the 2 reached an agreement and came to Nobita's door. Nobita thought that fat tiger was chasing him again, so he asked Doraemon to come forward and said, "Doraemon, go and help me block them, just say I'm not here." The blue fat man had to open the window. "Sunya, fat tiger, Nobita is not at home now." The two didn't care about Nobita's situation at all, but said to the blue fat man, "It doesn't matter, we are here to find you." Seeing this, Doraemon had to come down and open the door for them. When Nobita and Sunya and Fat Tiger were face to face in the room, the scene suddenly became a little awkward. But Fat Tiger didn't care about it, he just coughed twice. "Doraemon, we want to borrow your anywhere door to go back to Africa. There are some things we want to find out." When Fat Blue heard them talking about Africa, he immediately said, "You want to go to Bian's kingdom, right? What are you going there for?" The two said, "Because Sabal and Bian both said that Kos is a superpower, but our memory tells us that he is immortal." Nobita, who was at the scene, also remembered, "Are you trying to say that one of them is wrong?" Doraemon didn't say much and directly took out the anywhere door. "No matter who is right or wrong, just go and ask and you will know everything. The target location is the old smoking jungle. Let's go." After Doraemon opened the anywhere door, he found that the place opposite was still Nobita's room. Doraemon was also frightened. What is going on? It shouldn't be invalid for such a short distance. Nobita suddenly said, "Try setting the destination to where we went at that time." Doraemon nodded and opened the door 100 kilometers away from the old smoker's jungle. This time there was no problem, and everyone successfully returned to the starting point. Chapter 256. Yu and Daisuke, who was far away, suddenly received a message from the soul-devouring monument. "Those kids seem to have gone to find the dog." "What?" Yu and Daisuke spat out all the juice in his mouth. "Why did they go back suddenly? Have I been exposed?" "Maybe, because when I modified their memories, I didn't modify them too strictly, in order to save energy. I didn't expect that I would be discovered." Yu and Daisuke was thinking about another question. "Since I have been discovered, why don't I just tell them like this? It's better not to." The soul-devouring monument revealed its figure. "It's not time for you to reveal your identity yet. They may find you in advance." Doraemon took out the bamboo dragonfly, and everyone spent more than an hour to reach the core of the old smoker jungle. "This is the same as before, but it seems that you can't pass directly. Let's go to the underground river." The opposite side of the original cliff was still shrouded in fog, and the bamboo dragonfly could not enter directly. The others had to use the bamboo dragonfly to pass through the underground river and once again entered the former dog kingdom. "What's going on here?" Nobita and the others stood on the valley and looked at the scene below, unable to speak for a long time. Countless buildings were reduced to ruins, most dogs were homeless, and most people were disabled. It seemed that this place had experienced an extremely serious disaster. After a while, Fat Tiger was the first to react. Let's go find Bian. Yeah. After experiencing the initial shock, everyone hurried through the town and came to the palace where half of the building had collapsed. After finding Bian, Nobita hurried over to grab his hand. Bian, what's going on here?" Bian sighed. "A few days after you left, a violent earthquake occurred here, and it became like this. The kingdom is still being rebuilt now, and I'm sorry I can't entertain you." Seeing this, Nobita didn't want to disturb them too much, so he had to quickly explain his purpose. "I mainly have something to ask Saburlu today. Can you ask him to come over?" Bian nodded and ordered Saburlu to come over. Soon, Saburlu came to everyone in a thick armor. "Huh? Why are you here? Where is the magician? Why didn't he come? Did you say magician?" everyone asked in unison. Sabal was startled by them. "Why, have you forgotten? It's the expressionless face and the handsome boy." Doraemon immediately took out the photos of Yu and Eiji and Dekisugi. "Are you talking about them?" Sabal took a look and said with certainty, "Yes, it's them. This boy's the magician, and the other one also has great power." Doraemon put away the photos with a serious expression. "It seems that everyone's memory has really been tampered with." Bian also asked, "Have you forgotten? It was them who blocked Dr. Kos so that we could enter the Colossus." Everyone quickly changed the topic, chatted with Bian for a few words, and then left here in a hurry. After returning to the room, everyone began to be silent. Doraemon said first, "We already know some things. For example, Yu and Eiji and Deku-shan are not ordinary people." Nobita also nodded. "That's right." And he has long ignored Doraemon's props, such as the raccoon cat suit and the supervisor armband. Everyone Fat Tiger added, "It is very likely that Shizuka is not either, because his relationship with these two people has always been abnormal." Everyone discussed for a long time and decided to send someone to test me first. "There is no need for that. What you just said is true. I will admit it." Then, a figure suddenly appeared in Nobita's room, scaring everyone present. Gian and Eiji has been eavesdropping here for a long time, and he was waiting for them here when they went to Africa just now. He pointed the magic wand at them. "I'm so sorry, I have to erase your memory again. For my future, I have to inconvenience you again. Don't worry, it won't be long before I can stop hiding it." After Yu and Dazi erased their memories, he went home to review. Because during this period of time, the teacher said that in order to make everyone feel a sense of urgency, a series of exams would be conducted. In order to cope with these exams, Zyadishan decided to stay at home to review. And Yu and Dazi was unlucky again. Under the strong request of Demishan, he could only accompany him to review. After everyone woke up, he took out a pile of homework and started to do it. This was Yu and Dazi's way of making them not feel too strange, so he made them mistakenly think that they were doing homework at Nobita's house. Anyway, their relationship with Nobita has always been good, and it is not the first time to do homework and review together, so they should not be suspicious. With everyone reviewing intensely, Monday came quickly. Today's test is Chinese, which is not too challenging. Just when Yu and Dazi was writing hard, Fat Tiger suddenly yawned, and a bunch of bubbles with text popped up. The teacher immediately noticed this thing, rushed to his side, and saw that it was full of the content of today's exam. "You guy, you dare to cheat in the exam. Get out and stand now. Cheating in exams in Japan is a very serious matter. Now it depends on how the teacher handles it. This is just an ordinary exam. If he is willing to give Fat Tiger a chance and not report it, then the problem is not very big." After the exam, the teacher went over and said, "Fat Tiger, come to my office after dinner." Fat Tiger then walked into the classroom dejectedly, and the anger in his heart began to boil. Zyadishan looked at Fat Tiger worriedly, and after thinking for a while, he walked out of the classroom. Seeing that he seemed to be going to find the teacher, Yu and Dazi followed him. Sure enough, Zyadishan walked out of the teaching building and came to the teacher's office next to it. Dazi walked to his side and patted him on the shoulder. "What's wrong, Yunkei? Are you going to plead for Fat Tiger?" Demushan didn't expect that I would follow him and was a little happy. "Yeah, you too?" Yu and Dazi yawned. "Well, it depends on whether Fat Tiger is really willing to change. If he is willing to repent, I don't mind helping him. If the teacher reports this to the school, there will definitely be a stain on Fat Tiger's resume in the future." Although Yu and Dazi remembered that Fat Tiger would open his own grocery store in the future, it was better to be clean. Just like that, the two of them walked into the office together, and the teacher was drinking water. "Hey, Chumushin, Yun, why are you here?" The teacher put down the cup and looked at them, feeling a little strange. They were both the kind of people who would not come to the temple for no reason. Could something have happened in the class? If you're listening to this novel on a channel other than Fanfic World, it means they downloaded and uploaded it without effort. We cordially invite you to visit our channel, Mundo Fanfic Novelos. There you'll find the original version of this story and you can explore many other novels of various genres. We're waiting for you to immerse yourself in a world of incredible novels. Chapter 257, Doraemon's Crime. Yu and Dazi touched Zyadishan's shoulder. He had a close relationship with the teacher, so he was the one who spoke. "Teacher, I hope you can give Fat Tiger a chance this time and not report him to school. He was just confused for a moment and should reflect on it." The teacher was silent for a while when he saw Chumushin said this and asked, "Do you think so, Yuan?" Yu and Dazi nodded. "Yes, teacher, I also hope you can give him a chance." The teacher picked up the teacup, blew the tea in it, took a sip, and made a decision. "Okay, this time, for the sake of you two, I won't report to school. but let him come over later. I want to give him a good lecture. After saying that, the teacher put down the teacup, picked up the book, walked over and patted them on the back. Let's go. Class is about to start. I'll go back with you. The two of them were relieved. Since the teacher said not to report, then he wouldn't. Although Fat Tiger is usually annoying, and as he doesn't think he is a bad guy, at least he can be trusted at critical moments. And no matter what, they have a life and death friendship, so help each other if you can. After returning to the classroom, the two of them returned to their seats first. The teacher stood on the podium and gave a profound speech about Fat Tiger's cheating today. I'm very sad that a classmate cheated today. The purpose of the exam is to allow you to discover your shortcomings, not just to look at the scores. The teacher pointed at all of them and said, I don't want this to happen again, otherwise I will punish him severely. After hearing this, Fat Tiger sat in his seat and trembled. That guy really killed me yesterday afternoon. After school today, he must go over and beat that guy to death. In this way, Fat Tiger spent a nervous class and then walked out of the classroom with heavy steps. At this moment, he felt that he suddenly bumped into someone. He looked up and saw that it was and Daisuke. Fat Tiger wanted to take it out on others, but when he saw that he couldn't beat him, he had to hold back his resentment. He lowered his head and said, "What's wrong? Are you here to laugh at me too?" and Daisuke patted his shoulder and said, "Don't worry. We just agreed with the teacher that we won't report it to the school. You have to be more polite when you admit your mistakes." After hearing the good news, Fat Tiger felt that his sky had become colorful again. He quickly grabbed and Daisuke's hand and said, "Thank you. You are really my close friend." Then he raised his hand and said passionately, "I must compose a song for you to express my gratitude." and Daisuke grabbed his hand and said, "Do you dare to say what you just said again?" Fat Tiger immediately admitted his mistake and said, "No, I didn't say anything just now." He nodded with satisfaction and said, "That's good enough. Remember to be polite when you admit your mistakes. If you dare to hit me in the face, I want you to experience what pain is." After that, and Daisuke gently broke the stainless steel spoon and put it in his hand. Fat Tiger looked at the soup spoon broken into two pieces in his hand and shuddered inexplicably. Zyadishan came over and said to Fat Tiger, "Don't worry, although and Daisuke looks a little cold, he is actually very enthusiastic. Okay, let's go to the teacher's office." After getting the assurance from and Daisuke and Demishan, Fat Tiger's mood suddenly improved a lot, and his steps became lighter. As long as he doesn't report to the school and get punished according to the school rules, everything else will be fine. After all, no matter how others are punished, it's only a temporary thing, but being punished by the school rules can last a lifetime. Of course, Doraemon will definitely be punished. You dared to give him such a prop to play a prank. This time I will never forgive you. When he came to the office, the teacher was waiting for him at his seat. Seeing Fat Tiger coming, he immediately became very serious. "Gauta Takashi, come here. You dare to cheat on the exam." Fat Tiger immediately lowered his head and went over, and then the teacher scolded him for half an hour. Because there was still a class this afternoon, the teacher couldn't lecture him for too long. "Someone has pleaded for you, so I won't report it to the school. But I will notify your parents and ask them to say something nice about you." Fat Tiger immediately lowered his head and agreed, "Yes, teacher. As long as he didn't report it, it would be worth it, even if he was beaten by his mother." Seeing that his attitude was not bad, the teacher felt a little better. "Okay, that's it for today. Submit a profound self-review tomorrow and copy the school rules 10 times. Fat Tiger nodded and went back to the classroom with the teacher. After school in the afternoon, Fat Tiger walked to Izuki and Izuki to thank them. After accepting his thanks, Izuki asked the doubts in his heart. "Fat Tiger, although you usually have bad grades, why did you cheat this time?" Speaking of this, Fat Tiger's face suddenly turned red because of anger. "It's that Doraemon guy who dared to give me that strange memory machine." They were both very surprised. "Memory machine? Are you saying that Doraemon gave you low quality props so that you can cheat in the exam?" Fat Tiger nodded. "Yes, it's him. When I get home and my mother criticizes me, I will beat him up to vent my anger." Yeah, and as he didn't believe it, it shouldn't be, with Doraemon's personality, he shouldn't give you props to let you cheat. Zyadishan also nodded, yes, and Doraemon has no reason to mess with you. Fat Tiger clenched his fists, then tell me, who has props from the future, and the voice is so similar. Zyadishan was speechless for a moment, because he didn't know how to refute. Among the people known to everyone, only Doraemon and his sister Doraemon can do it. But Doraemon is in the future, and it is impossible for her to come here to play pranks. Yeah, and as he began to think about where he seemed to have seen this episode before, he did have some impression, but it might be because he didn't remember it very well, so he couldn't remember it. How about this? Let's go to Nobita's house and ask. But I don't think it was Doraemon who did it. Fat Tiger nodded, and then walked to another fork in the road. Then I'll go back first. Bye. They also waved to him, and then turned to another intersection. After all, the two houses were not on the same way. After returning home, the two of them quickly finished their homework, and then planned to go to Nobita's room. But just as they were about to go out, Zyadishan suddenly remembered, oh no, I have a book in the library that is due to be returned. Yeah, and as he had to say, okay, then you go and return the book. I'll go find Doraemon alone. Zyadishan nodded, then I'll trouble you. I'll go first. After that, a book floated into his hand, and then he rushed out the door. He also put on his shoes and walked towards Nobita's house. At this time, Nobita was looking for Shizuka to play, but Shizuka shouted to Nobita with tears in her eyes, I hate Nobita the most. Nobita was puzzled. How did he offend Shizuka? He quickly asked the reason. Shizuka covered her face with her hands in grievance, and her ears were all red. Just now, Doraemon used a strange prop to lift my skirt, and then he hit me. Nobita was a little unbelievable. It shouldn't be possible, right? Doraemon is not that kind of person. Shizuka was very angry and stomped her feet. Go back and ask him yourself. Then she ran away. Chapter 258 Doraemon incurred public outrage. Nobita stood there, still in disbelief after hearing what happened to Shizuka. Because in his impression, Doraemon is not that kind of cat at all. And Doraemon has Xiaomi. How could he target Shizuka? These two are not even of the same species, okay. But Shizuka cried like that just now. She shouldn't be lying. And normal people, especially girls, won't lie about that kind of thing. In other words, what she said should be true. After thinking about it, Nobita decided to believe Doraemon first. So Nobita started running home, ready to go back to find Doraemon, and then confront him about Shizuka. At this time, Yu and Daisy had entered Nobita's room, and Doraemon didn't seem to be in it. He opened his induction technique, and found that Doraemon was sleeping in the closet. So he opened the door, pulled Doraemon down, and took off his pocket at the same time. Are you and Daisy? What are you doing? Doraemon was panicked when he saw his treasure being taken away. Although Yu and Daisy also believed that Doraemon would not do such a thing, he still took it off to prevent him from using the props to escape. Seeing that he wanted to come over to grab the pocket back, Yu and Daisy put one hand on his forehead to prevent him from getting close. Don't worry, answer me a few questions and I will give it back to you. Doraemon calmed down a little, with his hands on his hips. What questions are you asking? Ask them. Yu and Daisy put his pocket away and asked him, did you go to see Fat Tiger last weekend? Before Doraemon could answer this question, Nobita broke into the room and pointed at the blue fat man's nose. Doraemon, were you the one who played a prank on Shizuka just now? Doraemon looked puzzled. What's wrong with me? Wasn't I sleeping in the closet just now? Nobita also saw Yu and Daisuke and was very surprised. Why are you here, classmate Yu? He said lightly. Fat Tiger said that the things he used to cheat today were given by Doraemon. Fat Tiger? Is it the prop that makes a textbook balloon appear when he yawns? Nobita also remembered and began to talk to himself. I said, that kind of strange cheating method should not be something that ordinary people can do. Thinking of this, Nobita looked at Doraemon with a little more suspicion in his eyes. Doraemon looked at the two of them, not knowing what to say. Didn't he just take a nap? How come when he woke up, there were two more scapegoats inexplicably? Yu and Daisuke also looked at Nobita. What about you? Shizuka was pranked just now. Nobita thought for a while. It was because of Shizuka. She was hit by Doraemon with props just now, so I came to confront her. Wait, Shizuka was hit by Doraemon with props. At this point, Yu and Dazi suddenly remembered this episode. At that time, he was particularly impressed by this scene, but he didn't remember much about Fat Tiger being punished for cheating. No wonder he didn't remember it. The blue fat man was immediately anxious. What are you talking about? I didn't do anything at all. How can you slander someone's innocence out of thin air? Because Yu and Dazi remembered the plot, he naturally believed that Doraemon was innocent. But Nobita didn't believe him. But Fat Tiger and Shizuka both said that it was your prop that did it. Is there anyone else who did it besides you? Doraemon was stunned for a moment. He seemed unable to refute. Yu and Daisy returned the pocket to him. I believe you, because you were really sleeping just now and didn't have time to commit the crime. Nobita was also stunned. Then who has this kind of prop and would do such a boring prank? Doraemon taped his pocket. No matter who it is, for my innocence, I must catch him. Seeing this, he also chose to believe them. Well, let's go and find someone. The three of them went out like this, and everyone prepared to go to Shizuka's house to ask him first. But just when they passed by the open space, Sunia saw the blue fat man and rushed up immediately. Damn Doraemon, give me my pocket money. Sunia rushed over angrily and handed a large box of shredded paper to them. Give me back my 20,000 yuan. Doraemon was even more confused. How did I get your money? Don't talk nonsense. Sunia pointed at the box. You just took out a magic box and said that as long as you put money in, you can double the money. At this point, Sunia blushed. Then I believed it and put my 20,000 yuan pocket money in. But what came out was a pile of shredded paper. After hearing this, Yu and Dazi hammered the wall next to him and laughed crazily. Haha. There are actually people who believe in such a simple scam. If there is such a thing, I will not take it out. Sunia's face turned redder, and he became angry and embarrassed. I don't care. Doraemon, you must compensate me for my losses anyway. Nobita shook his head repeatedly. You must have wronged Doraemon. He was with Yu and Dazi just now, and had no time to commit the crime. Just when Sunia was about to say something, Fat Tiger, covered in wounds, also arrived at the battlefield. Damn Doraemon, you dare to use that prop to mess with me. I will never let you go today. The momentum of the two combined, and suddenly even Nobita didn't believe in Doraemon. Yu and as he glanced at them calmly, you two, if you have the guts, try to yell at me again. The two men were immediately speechless. Under his power, Fat Tiger and Sunia didn't even dare to breathe. But Xiaofu was still unwilling to give up his 20,000 yuan. But, even if it's you, you can't. Before he finished speaking, Yu and as he smashed the wall next to him with a punch. What did you say just now? Speak louder. Xiaofu instantly realized the situation and covered his mouth. I didn't say anything just now. He nodded with satisfaction. Doraemon, fix this wall. The blue fat man immediately took out the recovery light and restored the wall to its original state. Seeing that there was nothing to do, Yu and as he said, come with me, let's find the real culprit now, and then I will ask him to compensate for the damage. They continued to move around here, and as he opened his induction technique to cover the surrounding 5 kilometers. Under Yu and as his conditional search, he soon found the yellow cat-shaped robot that was setting up a stall not far away. After memorizing the route, Yu and as he began to slowly withdraw his mental power. At this moment, he suddenly detected a figure, limping and moving. Linkei. What's wrong with him? Yu and as he immediately ran towards Xiaoshin's direction. A few minutes later, Demoshin appeared in front of everyone. Seeing Doraemon, Xiaoshin was furious. Doraemon, is it fun to do such a boring prank? Chapter 259 Destined to be not on the same path. Yu and as he stopped him. Forget it, it's not him this time. Come with me, I have found the murderer. Xiaoshin pointed to her foot. My foot is twisted again, it's inconvenient to walk. Doraemon immediately took out the universal medicine box. Let me take a look. Yu and as he stretched out his hand to stop him. No, let me do it. As he said, he used the healing spell to heal his leg, and at the same time, used the cleansing spell to wash away the stains on his body. Then he clapped his hands in satisfaction. Okay, now follow me. So Yu and Dazi took the lead and walked to the location of the yellow kitten. Everyone looked at each other and all followed him with resentment to the cat-shaped robot. This guy looks like Doraemon. This was everyone's first reaction when they saw him. Zyadishan finally figured it out. No wonder she misunderstood Doraemon, because this robot is basically the same as Doraemon except for the color. Of course, the difference between the two is the pair of ears on the head. Doraemon pointed at the robot. Why are you using my name to play pranks everywhere? Fat Tiger also flexed his fingers. You actually dared to make me almost punished by school rules. How despicable. Sunia was still holding the pile of confetti. Damn robot, give me back the 20,000 yuan I have saved for a long time. Doraemon smiled and prepared to take out a big treasure from his pocket. Since you are here to seek revenge, I will not be polite. Doraemon also began to take out treasures. Look at my tranquilizer gun. But the Doraemon took the initiative. Look at my invincible magnet. As soon as this prop that can attract props came out, the gun in Doraemon's hand and a bunch of metal products in his pocket were all sucked out. Doraemon held the magnet and laughed. Great. Today is a great harvest. At this moment, a black light flashed, and his magnet was suddenly chopped off, and at the same time a sword was placed on his neck. Reflect on your sins, otherwise, I will really tear you down. Doraemon held the remains of a large magnet, with cold sweat streaming down his face. Everyone gathered around. Damn it, wake up. What followed was a passionate action movie of 3 men and 2 cats. Yu and Daisy watched with great interest. What a pity, they didn't bring a camera. Zyadishan looked at his book. Now my book is broken. How can I return it to the library? Yu and Daisy said disdainfully. TSK, you still care about this? I believe your telekinesis can repair it. Zyadishan shook his head. Yes, it can be repaired, but it's too troublesome. It takes a lot of effort. Hearing this, Yu and Daisy shrugged helplessly. That's not easy. Just use his recovery light. The 3 of them finally finished fighting, and the yellow Doraemon lay on the ground, beaten beyond recognition. Oh, no, it was beyond recognition as a cat. Under the coercion of everyone's force, he had no choice but to return the 20,000 yuan he had cheated from Xiaofu. Then he apologized to Fat Tiger, Sunia, Shizuka and Zyadishan one by one, and Zyadishan returned the trap ring he had put away to him. Seeing that everyone forgave him, Doraemon also began to plead for him. Let him go. After all, I'm also a cat-shaped robot. Fat Tiger also thought that he was not punished by the school rules, and his resentment was slightly reduced, so he agreed. Doraemon was very moved and said, thank you so much, I will never play pranks again in the future. But as he was speaking, Yu and Daisy noticed that he wanted to put prank notes on them. Yu and Daisy sighed helplessly. Every time I give you a chance, you never know how to cherish it. Then, he suddenly punched hard and hit the yellow Doraemon in the face. I told you to reflect on it. The yellow Doraemon fell to the ground with an unbelievable look in his eyes and a note in his hand. There was a faint crack flashing on the part hit by Yu and Daisy. It can be seen that this robot should need a new face. No one expected that Yu and Daisy would still want to dismantle it under such circumstances, and they were all stunned. Doraemon pointed at him, his voice trembling. Yu and Daisy, didn't you agree to forgive him? Why is it still? Daisy looked at him. Yes, I forgave him for the prank before, but I didn't forgive him for the prank now. He put his fist away. For people like this who are not bad, I don't mind giving him a chance, but they won't cherish it. It is very difficult for a person to change his nature. I don't want to spend so much energy to correct his mistakes. Instead of letting him go and harm others, I might as well give him a quick death now. Then he pointed to the robot that had fainted on the ground, and he should check it carefully. There may be something wrong with the internal chip of this guy. It's better to dismantle it as soon as possible. Maybe we can get some parts. Everyone looked at the machine on the ground and was frightened by Yu and Daz's sharpness. They didn't dare to refute him. The one who was most afraid now was Fat Tiger, because he knew how annoying his singing was. He has decided to cancel all his performance plans this month and come out again after the storm has passed. Although Zyadishan was a little surprised, he quickly accepted it. Because he also knew that Yu and Daisy had this kind of personality, and he did not dismantle the robot. And his hands were actually not clean, and he had no right to blame others. But seeing that everyone was scared, Zyadishan came up and said, forget it, Daisy, let's go return the books first. Daisy nodded and walked to the library with him. Now there was not much time left before the library closed, and it would be a bit troublesome if he broke his promise in the library. The others were stunned for a long time, and finally Doraemon used the recovery ray to repair the robot, and prepared to return to the future to give it to Shizuka, so that he could take it and teach him a lesson. Nobita and the others finally realized that, because of their personalities, Yu and Dazzy and he were destined to be different people. After the two returned the books, Zayanishin was still thinking about this question on the way home. Dazzy, I still think you shouldn't have destroyed that robot cat today. Yu and Dazzy looked at him. Even if he caused you to fall into a trap and almost couldn't get out? Zayanishin nodded. Yes. Although it is difficult to want a person to change, I still think we should give it a try. Just like Jili Saka, hasn't he become better now? Yu and Dazzy yawned. Okay, I will try it later. But I still don't want to waste time on that robot cat. Because he is a low quality robot, the internal chip is broken, and external forces cannot change it. The next day, the few people who were present yesterday looked at Yu and Dazzy with a little more awe in their eyes. He also felt that the distance between him and them had been widened a lot invisibly. When handing out the papers in the afternoon, the teacher began to read out the results as usual, and asked people to come up to get the papers. Fat Tiger almost passed many of them, and this result made him very distressed, because he was going to be scolded again. Shizuka scored above 90 in every subject, which was pretty good. Sunia was similar to Shizuka, but a little weaker, with one subject not even above 90. As for Nobita, he became very distressed, because his scores in all 4 subjects were in the single digit. Chapter 260, Equality of All. Only Yu and Eiji and Dekisugi got full marks, and the teacher praised them. Shizuka got full marks in one subject, and finally tied with them, so he was happy. Although it can only be regarded as a tie for first place, it is better than second place, right? After school, Nobita quietly returned home, to avoid disturbing his mother. But unexpectedly, his mother, who had already known that the test papers would be distributed today, was already waiting in the living room. Just as Nobita passed by this place quietly, the door next to him suddenly slid open, revealing his mother's angry face. Seeing Nobita like this, how could she, as a mother, not know Nobita's results? She couldn't help, but said with regret, Nobita, come here, let me take a good look at today's results. Nobita had to lower his head and agree, and then followed his mother in. However, he still kept a secret and only handed his 2 test papers with a few points to his mother. Nobita's mother was a little relieved to see that Nobita did not get 0 points. But she didn't relax yet, because the teacher called to explain today that this time there would be 4 exams. As for the 2 papers that were not handed to her, she had already guessed the scores. There are still 2 test papers. Don't think you can easily hide it from my eyes. Nobita had to slowly take out the remaining 2 0-score test papers from his school bag and handed them to his mother tremblingly. When Nobita took out the test papers, both mother and son had already prepared themselves mentally. Seeing the familiar 0 on the test paper, Nobita's mother still found it difficult to accept. Nobita, you always hide it from your mother when you get a 0, right? Really, classmate Gian hasn't tutored you for a long time, so you did so poorly in the test. When Nobita heard that familiar name, he was immediately frightened even more. I must ask Yuan to come over these few days and let him tutor you for a while. No, I don't agree. Nobita stood up immediately. I absolutely don't agree to him coming to tutor me. Mom was even more angry. What did you say? It's not easy for your grades to improve. Why? Before Nobita finished speaking, Nobita interrupted her. I said no, it's no. You don't know what kind of person he is. After that, Nobita ignored his mother's reaction and picked up his school bag and went back to the 2nd floor. Nobita's mother sat on the ground, looking at her son's back, feeling very strange. He said, I don't know what kind of person Yu and Dazzy is. Did Yu and Dazzy do something against the law in their school? At this point, Nobita's mother began to think about whether she could still keep this tutor. Although he is indeed effective, if he has bad behavior, then he must not teach the child bad things. After Nobita returned to the 2nd floor, he walked from the window to the roof of the 1st floor and began to stare outside in a daze. He had just had a quarrel with his mother because he still couldn't forget what happened yesterday afternoon. Last night he had a nightmare, dreaming that Yu and Dazhi punched him in the face because he was not good at studying. Looking back, Yu and Dazhi actually killed people, such as Letana, the legend of the Sun King, did not erase his memory because of his identity as a messenger of God, and he was very worried that his dream would come true. Besides, he is also a student in the same grade as me. Why should he teach me? This thought has always existed since Yu and Dazhi proposed to be his tutor. Why can he be my tutor when we are both students? Why is the gap between me and Dekisugi always so far? Nobita looked at the sky and said what was in his heart. If everyone in this world is the same as me, how great would it be? Then he began to imagine that everyone was like him, got 0 points on the exam, and was late and slept together. How great would that world be? No discrimination, no bullying. At this moment, a voice appeared in his ears. Of course you can. Nobita turned his head and looked. Doraemon. Why are you eavesdropping on me? Doraemon supported his head with his hands. Because I saw that you were worried this afternoon, so I just watched from the side. Nobita quickly got up. You just said that you can make people in this world the same as me. Is that true? The blue fat man smiled and nodded again. Of course. Do you want to try it? Nobita didn't hesitate at all. Of course. I also want to see what will happen if we are the same. The blue fat man immediately reached into the bag and searched. At this time, we must use this prop, the equality cannonball. Then, Doraemon took out a small cylinder and a matching missile from his pocket. As long as you do what I say, you can make all the people in Japan become exactly like you and achieve absolute equality. Nobita came up. I know. So what should we do now? Doraemon took out a needle from his pocket. First, let me take a little blood sample from you. Hearing that blood was going to be used, Nobita's eyes immediately rolled back, and he fell down. Not really? Although it hurts a little, you should be the first person in history to be scared like this, right? However, this also made it easier for Doraemon to operate. He gently pricked Nobita's finger with a needle and took a few drops of blood. Nobita then woke up slowly. Doraemon, has the blood been taken? The blue fat man was very speechless about this. It's ready. Go down and pour a glass of cold water. Nobita immediately went down, took a glass of drinking water from the tap, and brought it to Doraemon. He poured the water into the small missile, and dripped the blood on the blood collection needle into it. After shaking it, he assembled the rocket. Okay, now the equality bomb has been assembled. Let's fly it and witness this great moment together. Nobita nodded and went to the roof with Doraemon from the window. After this bomb is launched into the air, it will explode, and then the genes inside will be atomized and spread to every corner of Japan. After hearing this, Nobita also said excitedly, by then, will the whole of Japan become the same as me? Doraemon nodded and then began to assemble the missile. Soon, the equality bomb was assembled. The two of them stood at the back. Then count down now. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, launch. A missile soared into the sky, leaving a trail of flames. Doraemon said with satisfaction, that's good. The bomb will start to work tomorrow. Nobita also nodded excitedly and then went back to wait. The missile went straight up to the sky and finally exploded above the clouds, emitting a lot of smoke. In this way, a great change quietly came. Chapter 261. Everyone lost their minds. The next morning, after Yu and Dazzy got up, he suddenly found that his cloak was draped over him and was emitting a faint light. Hey, why did the dark star cloak float out by itself? Yu and Dazzy wanted to take it back in his hand, but it was unwilling to go back and instead turned into a piece of clothing he usually wore and fell on him. Yu and Dazzy was a little surprised. What's wrong? Do you want to come out for some fresh air? Alright, I'll let you get some sun today. He just thought that the dark star cloak wanted to come out to play, so he let it stay on him. Anyway, the clothes made of the dark star cloak are very good, warm in winter and cool in summer, and very breathable. No sweat, which is excellent. He still went out and practiced swordsmanship on the top of the cloud. Anyway, the dark star cloak has now advanced to a point, only 10 kilometers, basically not consuming much magic power. Not long after, the time turned to 7:30, and Yu and Dazzy returned home again. But at this time, Zyadishan was still sleeping, which was no longer like his usual self. He walked to his side and shook him gently a few times. Junfei, you should get up. It's already 7:30. Zyadishan was sleeping in a daze. It's only 7:30, so early. Let me sleep a little longer. Then he jumped up. What did you say just now? Is it already 7:30 now? He nodded and admitted it, and he immediately held his head. I actually overslept. No, I have to get up quickly. Then he started to change clothes. And as he went downstairs to wash up first, and started to make today's breakfast sandwiches. For some reason, Chumushin looked very out of shape today. Not only was his clothes messy, but he also fell down when he came down. After finishing breakfast in a hurry, he started to pack his school bag again. Seeing him take out the things in the school bag one by one to check, and then forget to put them back, he was really impressed. He kicked him aside and packed up all his things for him. Let's go. When they arrived at school, Dekisugi not only did not review the books and preview the texts today, but he fell asleep on his seat. His actions today dazzled Yuan, who was just like Nobita. Soon, the school time reached 9 o'clock, which meant that the bell for class had rung. However, Yuan sat in his seat bored, looking at the empty classroom. No one came. Oh my god, it's okay that the students didn't come, but even the teacher didn't come. This is a bit too much. There were only Yuan and Dekisugi in the classroom now, and even the teacher was on his way. Finally, the teacher and the students arrived at 10 minutes past 9, and he began to yawn. The teacher apologized as soon as he entered the door. I'm sorry, students, I was accidentally late today. Then he saw that the students were late with him, and their mouths were wide open in surprise. But he quickly reacted, forget it, I'll forgive you today. Hand in your homework now. Those who didn't bring it, or didn't write it, stand up. Then the whole class, except for Yuan and Emushin, also went out, leaving the teacher and the two of them staring at each other. Nobita was secretly happy outside. Hehe, I didn't expect that everyone didn't write it like me. The teacher looked at the empty classroom and sighed helplessly. Forget it. Everyone come back. How can we still have class like this? Everyone returned to the classroom and let the teacher start teaching mathematics. The teacher first wrote a question from yesterday afternoon on the blackboard. 4/5*3/7, and then randomly picked Nobita to answer. Nobita thought for a long time on the blackboard, and finally put down the pen. Sorry, teacher, I don't know how to do it. The teacher wanted to scold him, but after thinking about it, Nobita really didn't know how to do this kind of question. So forget it. Since you don't know how to do it, you should listen carefully later, and go down first. Student Yu and Shizuka, you come up and answer it. Shizuka had no choice but to stand on the blackboard, holding the chalk and thinking hard. Everyone began to worry. Shizuka wouldn't be able to do this question, right? Sorry, teacher, I don't know how to do this question either. Shizuka really didn't live up to everyone's expectations, put down the chalk and admitted defeat. Nobita was secretly happy again below. Now everyone is the same as me, only I don't know how to do it. No one else can do it. Yu and he took out the water cup and drank a sip of water to calm down. What happened today was really too bizarre. Seeing Shizuka's dejected look, the teacher couldn't say anything hurtful. Okay, Shizuka, go back and think about it. How about this, Izuki-chan, you come up and do it. Zyadishan quickly threw his book and waved his hand to refuse. Don't hit me, teacher, I can't do such a difficult question. As soon as the voice fell, there was a puff from the corner, and then several students screamed and stood up. And as he wiped the water, while apologizing to the students whose clothes he had stained, the teacher was very angry. What are you doing? You drank water and spit on others during class. You did it on purpose. He hurriedly explained, I'm sorry, I just heard that Izuki-chan didn't even know how to do this kind of question, and I couldn't help it. The teacher wanted to scold him, but suddenly felt that what the child said seemed to make sense. Okay, Yuan, you come up and do this question. I will forgive you if you get it right. The teacher pointed to the question on the blackboard, and the students below were waiting to see his joke. Yuan wrote down his answer on the blackboard. 12/35. The teacher looked at his answer and was about to tell him whether it was right or wrong, but suddenly realized that he didn't seem to be able to do it either. So he came up with a clever idea. Student Yuan has successfully solved this problem. Can you please tell us about your thinking process for this problem? Yuan Dazi was stunned. Does such a simple problem still require thinking process? Multiplication. It only requires multiplying the numerator and denominator, and then reducing the fraction. He showed them his ideas, and everyone below cheered. The teacher was also very moved and grabbed his hand. Then please explain yesterday's homework together, Teacher Yuan. Before he could react, the teacher ran to Yuan Dazi's position below, and left the podium to him. Actually, is there such a thing? Yuan Dazi picked up the homework book helplessly, and explained the problem to them. Soon the class was over, and yesterday's problem was successfully explained with his efforts. The teacher came up to thank him again, and then announced the end of the class. Yuan Dazi returned to his seat in bewilderment. What's going on? Everyone seems to have lost their minds today. Is this the legendary attack that reduces intelligence? Chapter 262 Nobita's World. After thinking for a while, Yuan Dazi said that this matter was beyond his wisdom, and had to give up. After lunch, everyone started classes in the afternoon. But at this time, Yuan Dazi instantly became like a crane standing out from the crowd. It was not because of how outstanding he was, but because the class this afternoon was actually sleeping. That's right, this afternoon, the teacher suddenly organized everyone to take a nap. Just when Yuan Dazi's brain was still processing this problem, everyone fell asleep, leaving only him. Dazi was instantly overwhelmed by this huge doubt. Who am I? Where am I? And what should I do? Should I learn from these people and sink into a salted fish that has lost its dreams? No, even if he has to be a salted fish, he has to be the saltiest. How could he become a salted fish? But now everyone is sleeping. This is a fact, and Yuan Dazi can't change it. So he had to lean his head against the wall and started today's magic practice. The afternoon was spent in everyone's nap time, and no one woke up until school was over. Hearing the bell, Yuan Dazi instantly broke away from his magic training. It was time to go home. Seeing the classroom still as stagnant as water, Yuan Dazi finally couldn't stand it anymore, and stood up with a slap on the table. Everyone get up. Don't you see what time it is now? The lion roar instantly woke up the entire teaching building, and the teachers and students woke up slowly. Everyone's reaction was very uniform, and they all stretched. Who is it? Can't I sleep a little longer? Then everyone felt a murderous aura coming from the side, so they turned their heads to look at the source of the murderous aura. Yuan Dazi was surrounded by black mist, staring at them with a pair of eyes that could no longer see the pupils. At this time, his eyes flashed with a dangerous light. Do you have any opinions? No. School is over now. Everyone was frightened by Yuan Dazi's state, and quickly grabbed their things and ran away. Chumushin walked slowly to his side and said, Dazi-kun, let's go back together. Yuan Dazi then slightly restrained his murderous aura, nodded and left with him. Along the way, he said that he was very irritated because Chumushin walked too slowly today, about half of his usual speed. He was often chased by dogs and stepped on cans. I wonder what sin he had committed. After returning home, Yuan Dazi took out his homework as usual, while Xiaoshan lay on his bed to take a nap. He held his forehead helplessly. Dekisugi, why are you still sleeping? Aren't you going to do your homework today? Xiaoshan nodded and said slowly, it's okay, I'll copy it after you finish it. After hearing this, Yuan Dazi immediately turned into a Super Saiyan with a flick of his hair and grabbed him. Are you serious? Dekisugi was frightened by him and shouted in the air, I know, I will do my homework right away. After being scared half to death by Yuan Dazi, Xiaoshan finally sat down and did homework with him. Yuan classmate, can you teach me how to do this question? Xiaoshan put a very simple question in front of him, as if insulting his IQ. But based on the principle of mutual help, he still carefully answered the question for Dekisugi. Wow, Dazi-kun, you are so awesome. Xiaoshan slowly wrote down the answer to this question. Yuan Dazi looked at him expressionlessly as he wrote down the answer carelessly, and the desire to beat him became stronger and stronger in his heart. Why did Yuan Dazi want to beat him? because this guy didn't listen to his lecture at all. He only listened to his answer. This is not respecting his work process at all. If you want the answer, he will finish it for you in minutes. But for his sake, it is impossible to copy the answer directly to him. This afternoon, he finally finished his homework alive, and Yu and Daisy was planning to practice. And Emushan did something new again. He turned on the TV to watch today's dynamic Superman. Yu and Daisy was speechless. Don't you usually have no interest in these things? What happened to this guy today? All day long, he either sleeps or reads comics, and he also copies homework. He is just like Nobita. At this point, Yu and Daisy was instantly alert. Wait, just like Nobita? He immediately opened his induction technique with all his strength and took in all the scenes in the surrounding residence houses in his mind. Usually, in order to uphold privacy protection, Yu and Daisy rarely does this. But he wants to know some things, so now he has to invade other people's privacy. After filtering the scene, Yu and Daisy smiled. Sure enough, it's exactly what I thought. Everyone is either sleeping or watching TV. No one is working seriously, and no one is doing homework. Now within the range of his mental power, everyone is a copy of Nobita Nobi. Yu and Daisy immediately understood why Izuki was so strange today, and also understood why the Dark Star Cloak appeared on him. It seems that Nobita and his friends used some props to turn everyone in this world into his copy, but when it was applied to me, it was blocked by the Dark Star Cloak. After figuring out the cause and effect, he immediately decided to find Nobita and let Daisy change the world back to its original state. Although the world is not bad now, Yu and Daisy can easily bully a lot of people, and it is easy to build a country. But even if he hasn't watched this episode, he knows that if there is only Nobita in this world, it will definitely face destruction. No one will go to work, no electricity, no food. How can they live? So, for his future survival, it is better to restore the world. Along the way, pedestrians all looked drowsy, and so did the drivers. Walking on the street, Yu and Daisy had never felt so frightened. Because he walked out a few blocks, several cars brushed past his body. The reason was nothing else. These guys were distracted while driving. There was no other way. Yu and Daisy jumped onto the roof for his own safety. This time there was no need to worry about the problem of the vehicle. He planned to go directly to Nobita's room. Soon, Yu and Daisy stood in front of Nobita's window, and Doraemon was taking a nap. He went over and punched Doraemon in the stomach, almost making him fall asleep forever. Doraemon, what props did you take out again? Do you know how much you have hurt others this time? Doraemon rubbed his eyes. So what happened? Isn't the world good now? Yu and Daisy said impatiently, hurry up and restore the world to its original state, otherwise Japan will be destroyed. Stop making noise, okay? The blue fat man was determined to sleep, so he took out the shrinking lamp and made Yu and Daisy smaller. He looked at the blue fat man in front of him who was like a giant and had to give up the idea of calling him. Damn, how can this guy do this? I can't compete with this shrinking lamp at the moment. Yu and Daisy muttered, took out the Dark Star Cloak, and returned to his room. Chapter 263 Am I Dead? After returning home, Zyadishin was still watching TV in the living room with relish, while Yu and Daisy quietly returned to the second floor and began to study the strange energy wrapped around his body. Outside, the night fell quietly without anyone noticing. Zyadishin began to shout, Mom, I want to eat. By the way, my mother is outside. It seems that I'll have instant noodles tonight. As he said that, Demishin went to the kitchen to find instant noodles and tools. Yu and Daisy finally analyzed the energy of the shrinking lamp and used his magic to create reverse energy to offset the shrinking lamp. Damn Doraemon, after becoming Nobita, he didn't learn anything else, but his decisiveness in using props has improved a lot. Zyadishin had already brought out a book of instant noodles. Seeing Daisy coming back, she said to him, Daisy, you are back. I cooked instant noodles for you. Let's eat together. Seeing that there was still food tonight, Yu and Daisy's mood suddenly improved a lot. Just as they started to eat noodles, it suddenly began to get dark outside. The lights in each house began to gradually go out, and soon, their house was also plunged into darkness. Putting down the instant noodles, Daisy couldn't help but complain, Nobita is such a jerk. He even went on strike at such an important place as the power plant. Zyashin didn't know what he was talking about, so she just took the instant noodles box and threw it away. Doraemon finally realized the seriousness of the problem. Because of Nobita's personality, it was only a matter of time before he went on strike. Now the whole of Japan was plunged into darkness, but after the car lost the traffic light, there was still no car accident. Because all the drivers chose to be surprisingly consistent. Since they couldn't drive, they would sleep where they were. Anyway, there was no light now, which was a perfect place to sleep. Doraemon began to frantically take out props from his pocket, but he didn't take anything out. In the end, the blue fat man cried and held his head. Damn it, my brain has become like Nobita's, and it's hard to think. Although Nobita is a genius in using props, he is limited to the props that Nobita knows. Because Doraemon doesn't know the props that Nobita doesn't know. At this moment, Nobita's mind flashed, let's go to Doraemon for help now. Doraemon also slapped his head. Yes, now Doraemon can solve my dilemma. So he took out a yellow phone and called his emergency contact Doraemon. Doraemon's crisp voice came from the other side. Hey, brother, what's the matter? Doraemon quickly explained the problem to her and asked her to come over quickly. Doraemon came immediately without complaining. Soon, Nobita's drawer was opened by Doraemon. Brother, you are really, why don't you consider the consequences when using this prop? Doraemon and Nobita bowed quickly. I'm so sorry, I didn't think of this, and I didn't expect Nobita to be such a waste. Nobita was immediately unhappy. He just wanted to quarrel with Doraemon, but was stopped by Doraemon. Okay, Nobita, if you dare to say my brother, I'll shut you up now. Nobita had to shut his mouth obediently in front of the true love between the brother and sister. Doraemon took out a prop from her patent pocket. Look at my equality disappearing gas bomb. This prop is specifically used to remove the equality bomb. Doraemon threw the bomb out of the window. The gas quickly spread to every corner of the island country and began to disintegrate the equality bomb gene that permeated the world. Soon, the power supply in the city was restored, and Japan gradually returned to normal. Zyashin finally remembered that she was a top student. Thinking of her performance in class today, she was immediately ashamed. And as he saw that the power was restored and guessed that Doraemon had probably solved the problem, he then went over to tease Zyashin. How is it? Do you want me to copy your homework for you in the future? Dekisugi also remembered that he had completely copied Gian and Daz's homework this afternoon, and he was even more embarrassed. Don't worry, today was just an accident. I will write it myself in the future. Seeing that he had returned to normal, Gian and Daz was relieved. After Doraemon sent his sister away, he also remembered that he had shrunk Gian and Daz. Oh no, what if I accidentally shrunk Gian and Daz when he came to see me today? Nobita covered his head and began to collapse. You said you offended Gian and Daz. It's over, we are all finished. Then he quickly asked Doraemon, wouldn't it be safe if we didn't enlarge him? The blue fat man shook his head. That would be worse. The shrinking light has a time limit. If we haven't apologized to him when the time is up. Nobita continued to make suggestions. Then let's shrink him again. The blue fat man still shook his head. No, after being hit this time, he will definitely be on guard. What if he comes with a knife? After a few seconds of silence, the two of them started searching around like crazy. But the two turned the house upside down and didn't see him. Doraemon, what do you think this is? Nobita pointed to a little blood and rotten meat on the ground, which looked like the shape of a person. Nobita asked cautiously, do you think we stepped on him to death when we were careless? Then in a few days, there will be a large pool of blood in our house, and we will become murderers. The two hugged each other and cried bitterly, mourning the death of Yu and Dazuki. The two were sad for a long time, and finally Doraemon picked up the phone and called Dekisugi. Zyashin, who was reading a book, immediately answered the phone. Hello, this is Dekisugi's house. What can I do for you? Nobita's voice came from the other side. Dekisugi, we want to tell you something sad. Please be mentally prepared. Zyashin's heart was immediately in suspense. Sad things? Why did they tell me? But she was still prepared, wanting to hear what sad things they would say. It's like this. Gian came to see us this afternoon, but Doraemon shrunk him. Zyashin glanced at Yu and Dazuki, who was in a daze, and asked, I know, and then what happened? Nobita said in a crying voice on the other side of the phone. "I'm really sorry. Doraemon was unconscious at the time, so we used the shrinking light to shrink him. Then, we seemed to have accidentally stepped on him." Zyadishan was about to say that they were joking, but quickly took back the words. "You and Daisy went out in the afternoon, and didn't come back until the evening. If you and Daisy was really stepped on to death, and turned into a ghost, it seems possible." So Zyadishan hung up the phone, and asked him tentatively, "Daisy, before you die, do you have any wishes that have not been fulfilled?" And as he was thinking about the problem of the magnifying and shrinking lights this afternoon, and was suddenly asked this question, and he was also confused. Am I dead? When did I die? If you're listening to this novel on a channel other than Fanfic World, it means they downloaded and uploaded it without effort. We cordially invite you to visit our channel, Mundo Fanfic Novelos. There you'll find the original version of this story and you can explore many other novels of various genres. We're waiting for you to immerse yourself in a world of incredible novels. Chapter 264 Tripping Expert. And as he put his hand on Dekisugi's head, "Are you sick today? You look very sick." Dekisugi felt the warmth of his hand, and was a little confused. "Are you still alive? Not a ghost?" Daisy was even more confused. "What are you talking about? When did I die?" "Ah, you're not dead. Then Nobita called just now, and said that you have been trampled to death." And as he clenched his fists. Are these guys tired of living? They dared to spread the news that he was dead. The hot-tempered and as he immediately picked up the phone and dialed the number to call them back. Nobita quickly answered the phone. "Hello, this is Nobita's house. Who are you?" He immediately used wind magic to add a special effect to himself. "Nobita, do you still remember me? I hate you so much." There were faint sounds of wind around, with a hint of desolation and resentment. Nobita was immediately frightened when he heard and Daz's familiar voice and fainted immediately. Doraemon quickly helped Nobita up. "Hey, Nobita, wake up. What did you hear?" Seeing that Nobita did not respond, Doraemon had to pick up the phone. "Who are you? Why did you scare my lovely Nobita?" "Oh, it turns out to be Doraemon. You shrunk me this afternoon and spread the news that I was dead everywhere. What is your intention?" Doraemon was frightened by and Daisuke. "It turns out to be and classmate. Ahaha. Sorry, I have to see Nobita. Hang up first." After saying that, Doraemon hung up the phone, and and Daisuke could only hear the dead tone coming from the phone. He also put down the phone. "Humph. Forget it this time. Next time you dare to curse me, I will curse you." Then he continued to study the energy of today's shrinking lamp, trying to reverse the energy of the amplification. So Zyadishan suffered tonight, and he couldn't read well all night. Because and as he kept experimenting with magic on himself, various strange effects occurred, and he laughed to the side and couldn't breathe. Later, Daisy couldn't bear it anymore, so he took out the wood fern to do an experiment, so he couldn't laugh anymore today. One night passed like this, and and Daisy also successfully researched the magic of growing bigger. Soon, time came to the next day, but Nobita was kicked out by the teacher again because he still didn't do his homework. This time, the effects of other students were lifted, and only he stood outside, looking a little lonely. After school in the afternoon, Nobita immediately rushed out of the teaching building. Because today is the release day of JoJo, Nobita must go and buy it quickly. If he goes too late, his favorite comics will be sold out. The bookstore was already crowded at this time. Nobita looked at so many students queuing to buy comics, and his expression became more determined. This time, I must get JoJo. Then he rushed into the bookstore and started to fight. Finally, after half an hour of fighting wits and courage, Nobita successfully got a copy of JoJo and retired. Just as Nobita was walking on the way home with excitement, a majestic figure blocked Nobita's way. "Nobita, that's the latest JoJo you've got, right?" Nobita nodded mechanically. "That's great. Why don't you lend it to me now?" "I don't know when you'll return it to me." Nobita was unwilling to let go of his comics. This was not only 300 yuan, but also his greatest expectation. But Fat Tiger was never a reasonable person. After beating Nobita, he took the comics away proudly. "Your things are my things, and my things are still my things. Haha." Nobita lay on the ground and looked at Fat Tiger's back, hammering the floor unwillingly. After getting up, Nobita rushed into his room with all his strength. At this time, Doraemon was about to go back to the future to buy something. Doraemon, wait a minute. Nobita rushed over and grabbed the blue fat man's head tightly to prevent him from leaving. Doraemon had to come out of the time machine. Okay, I know. Nobita, tell me what you have to say. Nobita told Doraemon about his experience with snot and tears, which almost made him run away on the spot. Damn it. Fat Tiger is such a shameless guy. This time, I'll use this tripping expert. Doraemon took out a little man from his pocket and handed the tripping expert to Nobita. As long as you take this robot and throw $10 in from the back, you can trip someone 3 times. After describing the props, Doraemon entered the time tunnel again. I have something else to do in the future, so I'll leave now. After dealing with Nobita's affairs, the blue fat man went back to the future. Because today is the special sale day for Super Doraemon. As a hardcore Doraemon lover, he absolutely cannot be absent. Nobita looked at the little man and didn't believe this so-called tripping expert at all. Is this person really useful? Forget it, I'll try it first. Anyway, it's only $10. After saying that, Nobita took out his pocket money and threw it into the gap behind the tripping expert. Nobita looked gloomy and expressed his wish. The person I want to trip is Fat Tiger. The tripping expert suddenly grinned, jumped from Nobita's hand, and started today's hunt. At this time, Fat Tiger was walking on the road, happily looking at the comic book he had snatched from Nobita. Haha, this comic book is so interesting, it's worth it, that I have been waiting for Nobita for so long. Just as he was still immersed in the fun brought by the comic book, a small figure suddenly broke into the front. Where did you get this toy from? Forget it, just crush it. Then Fat Tiger raised his foot and prepared to crush it into pieces. But at this moment, a small pistol in the hand of the tripping expert suddenly aimed at Fat Tiger and opened fire. In a flash of fire, Fat Tiger felt like he was hit by something and then fell down. Nobita hid behind the telephone pole and saw this scene and couldn't help clapping his hands and cheering. Great, worthy of being an expert. Even a troublesome person like Fat Tiger was dealt with in one shot. After the first blow, Fat Tiger became even more angry and rushed over to hug this so-called little toy. But this toy was very flexible and jumped more than 1 meter high in one jump, avoiding the hungry tiger's pounce. After falling to the ground, seeing that Fat Tiger had stood up, he fired a second shot at Fat Tiger. Fat Tiger was tripped for the second time. He looked at the toy in front of him and felt scared. No, don't come over here. Fat Tiger got up and started running. But the tripping expert would not stop until he tripped someone 3 times. His short legs moved very fast and he started chasing. Before long Fat Tiger was cornered by the tripping expert and had no way to escape. Chapter 265 Tripping Expert Z. No, don't come over here. Fat Tiger got up and started running. But the tripping expert would not stop until he tripped someone 3 times. He moved his short legs very quickly and started chasing. Before long Fat Tiger was forced into a corner by the tripping expert, with no way to escape. Fat Tiger knelt on the ground. I'm sorry, I was wrong. Please let me go this time. But no matter how Fat Tiger cried and begged for mercy, the tripping expert showed no mercy. With a grin that showed a row of white teeth, the tripping expert fired the last shot at Fat Tiger. The power of this shot was much greater than the previous one. When he fell, even the ground shook. After the last fall, Fat Tiger could no longer get up. The tripping expert completed his task, put away his smile and pistol, and there was no movement. Nobita walked over carefully, put away the tripping expert, and took his comics away at the same time. This is really scary. Once you decide on a target, no matter how much you beg for mercy, it will definitely trip the other party 3 times. Putting the prop in his bag, Nobita prepared to go back. Now that he has completed his revenge, he can go back to read comics. As for this prop, it is enough to teach Fat Tiger a lesson. It is better not to take it out when there is nothing to do. But things did not go as he wished. Nobita soon met someone he did not want to see. Hey Nobita, are you holding the latest JoJo comics now? Nobita nodded proudly. Yes, you see, I bought it with great difficulty. Sunia said disdainfully. What's that? I have collected all the series of JoJo comics, all of which are inlaid with gold. At this point, Sunia took out a gold-edged comic showed off in front of Nobita, and then walked away. Nobita looked at the new comic in his hand and immediately lost interest. Compared with Sunya, the gap between the two is really too big. Damn Sunya, you dare to show off in front of me. Let me use this prop to teach you a lesson. Then, Nobita put a $10 coin in it and was about to say Sunya's name. But at this moment, another person popped up next to him. Nobita, what are you doing now? Nobita immediately looked like a fangirl. Shizuka, I'm using Doraemon's props. All you need to do is put in a coin and say the name. At this moment, Nobita's mind suddenly came to light. Did Shizuka just call my name? He quickly turned his head and looked at the expert who fell. At this time, the expert was looking at Nobita, grinning with a pure smile. Nobita looked at this cute robot and suddenly felt that he was about to ascend to heaven. He quickly threw it down and ran away. Shizuka looked at Nobita, who started to run for his life inexplicably, and there was a small robot following behind him. It was very strange, so she chased after him. Nobita, what did you just say? Why are you running? Nobita said to Shizuka while running. Shizuka, leave quickly, or I'll hurt you. Shizuka was still reacting to what Nobita had just said, but the pistol of the falling expert had accidentally shot Shizuka. After Shizuka was thrown down, she lay on the ground and shouted, Nobita is the most annoying. Nobita didn't care about being hated, and he quickly started his escape journey. While running, he didn't forget to ask for help from the blue fat man. Help. Doraemon, save me. The falling expert who followed behind opened fire all the way, and Nobita dodged every bullet with his snakeskin movement. The pedestrians on the roadside suffered. Wherever Nobita passed, no one could continue to stand on the ground. After Doraemon came to the future, he went to buy the freshest dorayaki. On the way back, he suddenly saw a billboard. Today, the martial arts film star Ichiro Kanda is going to film in this park. Please don't get too close to the crew to avoid affecting the filming. Doraemon has also heard of this star, Ichiro Kanda. I remember Doraemon likes him very much. Why don't we go and take a photo together? At this moment, no one noticed that a falling expert Z rolled down nearby. The working principle of falling expert Z is the same as that of ordinary falling experts. They all pay 10 yuan and then are responsible for tripping others. However, this Z is a little different from the ordinary version. Ordinary experts can trip others 3 times after receiving money, while this Z can only trip others once. However, the strength of this Z is much stronger than that of the falling expert. One trip may send people to the intensive care unit. Moreover, this expert itself has the characteristics of infinite enemy locking, time and space shuttle, and never giving up until the goal is achieved. It is simply the best choice for revenge. Just as everyone kept kicking the falling expert Z, the internal part of this discontinued robot suddenly started. The $10 coin that was originally stuck by the stone was shaken open by the collision, and the coin fell into the predetermined slot. After receiving the money, the falling expert Z restarted and prepared to receive new instructions from the owner. At this time, everyone was basically saying, Ichiro Kanda is so handsome. The falling expert Z captured the keyword, Ichiro Kanda, and immediately started his search engine to check the information about Ichiro Kanda in the minds of nearby people. Soon, with the powerful enemy lock function, the falling expert Z turned his eyes to the star being photographed. Doraemon finally walked to the front and took out the camera to take a picture. Let me see. This angle is good. Doraemon should like it very much. 3. Doraemon quickly moved the camera away because he saw a shell hit Ichiro Kanda, and the huge impact almost made him ascend to heaven on the spot. Some people ran over and began to check if Ichiro Kanda was okay, while others began to search for the perpetrator. The falling expert Z completed his task and then turned back into a harmless doll. But at this moment, a child picked up the falling expert Z and looked at it curiously. Suddenly, he saw a coin slot at the back, which said put in 10 yen. The child just picked up 10 yen and put the coin in. Falling expert Z started again, waiting for someone's order. At this moment, Doraemon passed by and said, let's go back quickly, Nobita is still waiting for me. Falling expert Z immediately captured the keyword, Nobita Nobi, and immediately moved. Then he walked in front of Doraemon and began to search for information about Nobita Nobi. Doraemon also saw this little thing, and after a moment of hesitation, the database began to respond. Isn't this the discontinued falling expert Zed? Why is it in front of me? At this time, Zed had already received the information he wanted. Nobita Nobi's information has been searched, and now we are going to 1981. Doraemon immediately thought of what he had just said and said Nobita's name. Just when Doraemon began to regret, Zed's body emitted a burst of light and disappeared. Chapter 266, Pursue a Loop. Oh no. If Nobita is hit by him, then Nobita's life will be ruined. Doraemon immediately threw away his Dorea key, ran back to Shizuka's house, and took the time machine to Nobita's location at full speed. Nobita was still avoiding the pursuit of the ordinary falling expert. Nobita was fine, but a large number of pedestrians on the road fell. Just as Nobita was on a tense and exciting escape journey, Nobita activated the skill that all horror movie protagonists can use, falling on the ground. He was suddenly tripped by a protruding stone on the ground, and after rolling on the ground for a few times, he lay on the ground powerlessly. At this time, the falling expert was already standing in front of him. Nobita took a few steps back, preparing to face his fate in fear. Of course, Nobita now had no idea that this was just the beginning of his tragic fate today. Just as the falling expert was about to fire at Nobita, he suddenly cast his eyes on the bridge in the distance. On the railing of the bridge, Zed was looking at the ordinary falling expert from a distance. The two of them were on the verge of a fight, and they both started competing for the same prey. Zed jumped up and landed heavily on the ground not far from Nobita. When the dust was dispersed, the falling expert Zed appeared in front of Nobita. Seeing this scene, Nobita's eyes were full of stars, and he was so handsome. The ordinary falling expert was not to be outdone, and pointed his pistol at Zed, saying that this was his prey, and asked him not to interfere. The opponent Zed also took out his own small pistol, and this prey, I will definitely get it. The falling expert immediately shot at Zed, and the opposite Zed did not dodge or evade, and used his super alloy body to withstand the shot. The damage caused by the falling expert's pistol to Zed was completely negligible, and it only made him retreat 2 steps. Zed took his pistol and aimed at the ordinary falling expert, ready to fire. Just when Nobita thought it was just an ordinary small pistol, there was a change. The small pistol in Zed's hand suddenly began to stretch, and then countless fine nano matches were armed, turning the originally harmless small pistol into a rocket launcher. What? Nobita saw this operation and blurted out something like what the hell. Zed opened fire, and the rocket directly hit the ordinary falling expert dozens of meters away, knocking a big hole in the wall. Nobita was relieved, and his own danger was finally resolved. Walking in front of Zed, Nobita smiled and said to him, "Thank you, you are sent by Doraemon to save me." This falling expert Zed showed a kind smile, which made Nobita, who was in desperate situation, feel extremely relieved. Just when Nobita thought he had been saved, the falling expert aimed his small rocket at Nobita. What? Aren't you sent by Doraemon to save me? Nobita retreated again and again, and the despair in his heart gradually began to spread. He thought he had seen hope, but found that there was even deeper despair ahead. It was acceptable to be shot 3 times by an ordinary expert, but if he was hit by this shot, he would be half crippled if he didn't die. Zed had already aimed at his target and was about to open fire to complete the task assigned. At this moment, a big hand suddenly descended from the sky and rescued Nobita from Zed's hands. The mechanical hand pulled him onto the bridge, and Nobita could see the true face of the person who came. It was Doraemon. Nobita hugged Doraemon. "Great, I knew you would come to save me." The blue fat man pushed him away. "No time to explain, come with me." Then, the blue fat man quickly pulled Nobita up and left the place. Just as they left, a shell hit the place where they had just stood, breaking a hole in the bridge. Doraemon pulled Nobita and ran while explaining the origin of this thing to him. This thing is an enhanced version of the falling expert, called the falling expert Zed, and it is a dangerous item in the future. Zed became a god with its 100% success rate and huge lethality, but it was forced to stop production because it was too dangerous. "I don't know why this thing appeared in front of me," Nobita asked quickly, "but why is this guy pointing at me? Who threw the coin?" Doraemon was a little embarrassed. "The $10 coin I accidentally dropped on the ground was picked up by someone and then thrown in here. As for who said it, It seems that I accidentally let it slip. Nobita looked at Doraemon and felt very speechless. So our bad luck today is also largely due to you, right? Zyadishan invited Daisy to eat noodles today to make up for what he laughed at yesterday. When they were discussing the taste of the seafood ramen in the ramen restaurant, two people suddenly ran in from outside. Hey, isn't this Nobita and Doraemon? Why are they so flustered? The two of them just glanced at Chiyu and Daisuke and ran away in a hurry. Daisuke stuffed a mouthful of ramen into his mouth for no apparent reason. What happened to these two people today? Forget it, I don't bother to care about them. Just as they continued to eat noodles, a shell hit Chiyu and Daisuke's table, and the two of them were covered in boiling seafood soup. When the other people in the store saw that someone was attacked, they all scattered, leaving only the two of them. Chiyu and Daisuke swallowed the noodles he had just stuffed into his mouth. What just happened? Mushin touched the soup on his face. I don't know. Although they didn't know what happened, they all guessed that this matter was related to Nobita and the others who ran over. After a brief discussion, the two decided to chase Nobita together, and then they simply packed up and ran out together. Before leaving, Zyadishan didn't forget to hand over 1,000 yuan to the confused waiter before running out. Nobita and his friends had no idea that they had just provoked two more bosses. Just the pursuit of the falling expert Z had exhausted them. Nobita also saw that this place was almost destroyed by Z, so Nobita discussed with Doraemon about counterattack. Doraemon, I think if we keep running, he will catch up with us sooner or later. Doraemon also nodded. That's right, and the damage will continue to increase. We must fight back. Looking at the surrounding terrain, Nobita suddenly remembered something. Oh, I suddenly remembered that there is an abandoned factory ahead. That will be our decisive battle site. The blue fat man nodded and then followed Nobita's direction and came to this abandoned factory together. This place has been in disrepair for many years and no one would come here. If a decisive battle is launched here, it will not affect others. The two of them walked into the factory, began to observe the surrounding situation, and prepared to fight back. Chapter 267 Counterattack. When the two of them were ready, the falling expert Z also arrived at the scene. Seeing the empty warehouse, the falling expert Z turned on his infrared scanner. As expected, he found Nobita and Doraemon behind several abandoned oil drums. Z showed a kind smile, took out his small rocket, and fired at them. Nobita and Doraemon had expected it, and they quickly dodged to the side, then took out their glue guns, and started to fight back. Z jumped several times to avoid the flying glue, and then took out his small rocket to aim. But Doraemon anticipated his actions and immediately took out the smoke bomb he had prepared, and threw it out. Z saw a UFO approaching, and moved a few steps to the side again. Then the smoke bomb exploded, and the surroundings were all shrouded in fog. Z took out his infrared scanner again, but Doraemon, who knew Z well, would not give him this opportunity. This time, the blue fat man specially picked a smoke bomb with thermal interference, which successfully blocked Z's sight. When the smoke dissipated, the surrounding temperature still prevented him from thermal scanning. But Z's information processing ability was also very strong, and he soon discovered the difference on the ground. Just behind an oil barrel, a small green steel helmet appeared. He remembered that this hat was the protective gear worn by his previous target Nobita. This time he had lost his patience, and he simply skipped aiming and fired a shot at that place. The air cannon hit the oil barrel, making a loud noise. The person behind was finally revealed, and it was a fully armed Doraemon. Z immediately felt bad, because he had lost the trace of an important person within his exploration range. In the news he received, there was a message that Nobita was a sharpshooter who never missed a shot. Just as he began to look for Nobita in a hurry, a dark shadow emerged on the second floor. Nobita took advantage of Z's daze because of his disappearance and quietly raised his gun and aimed at him. Z was still searching, and at this moment, a white sticky glue fell from the sky and stuck him to the ground. Nobita and Doraemon cheered. Yeah, great. We have successfully defeated Z. But it was obvious that they were too happy too early, and Z began to struggle violently on the glue. Doraemon said with confidence, "It's okay, once you are stuck, there is no way to get rid of it." However, Z's strength is very great, and he has a tendency to leave the ground. A drop of sweat fell from Doraemon's forehead. It should be okay. This is a very good glue. Nobita was also worried. Can't you give me a definite answer? Finally, after Zed used all his strength, he suddenly fell heavily to the ground and still did not escape the range of the glue. The two people above were relieved. Just when they thought they were completely safe, Zed suddenly emitted a burst of light. His surface carapace suddenly cracked, revealing a brand new Zed. After shedding his shell, he has become more powerful than before. Not only has the surface armor changed to another color, but even the small rocket has added a special coating, which looks more than 10% more powerful. Doraemon and Nobita hugged each other tightly, and the two were ready to meet this impact together. Now they have given up, and are ready to take the blow. If there are two people, the injuries will be less. Zed has already aimed at Nobita and smiled. It's really interesting that it took him so long. At this moment, the door of the warehouse was kicked open, and a handsome guy with ramen on his head appeared in front of them. And as he pointed at his head and said, "Who put this bowl of ramen on my head just now?" Nobita and Doraemon looked dazed and pointed at Zed, who was pressed by the door on the ground. Zed finally broke free from under the door and looked at the person who ruined his good deeds. Didn't he just want to make some money? As for ruining his good deeds one after another, and as he didn't care about his inner thoughts and walked over to crush it like a cockroach. But this time, the falling expert Zed knew the principle of striking first and then gaining the upper hand, and took the small rocket and fired at and as he first. And as he was hit by the spherical air cannon without any preparation, leaving a human-shaped hole on the wall behind him. Seeing this, Zed was ready to continue his job, but a stone flew from behind again, forcing him to give up the attack and dodge the attack. In his perception, the force of the stone was enough to damage his armor, so he had to be careful. And as he came out of the cave unscathed, "You are really a bit difficult to deal with." At this time, there was a black sharp blade in his hand, which made Zed feel a fatal threat. Seeing that the possibility of success was too low, Zed prepared to retreat first, and then look for an opportunity again. "Humph, you dare to fire 2 shots at me, how can I let you run away? Don't you know that magicians are very vengeful creatures?" And as he immediately exerted force on his feet and rushed towards Zed, Zed felt that someone was approaching quickly and quickly turned his head to look behind him and saw and as he rushing over with murderous intent. Since this bastard was not going to let him go, Zed could only choose to fight to the death, and the rocket launcher expanded again, firing 3 shots at and as he smiled contemptuously and slashed out with a sword, cutting off all 3 air bullets. Then he added the wind walking technique to himself, doubling his speed again, and appeared behind Zed almost instantly. "Then you should be aware of this. You dare to put ramen on my head." After saying that, a black light flashed, and and as he stood behind Zed and slowly sheathed his sword. The body of Zed, the expert in falling, gradually split into 2, marking the end of this fight. Nobita and Doraemon were completely relieved and sat back to back together. But and as he did not intend to let them go and dared to divert the blame so that he could not even finish his noodles. At this time, Xiaoshan, who was behind him, ran over breathlessly. Just now, he had walked more than 10 miles, and he was exhausted from running all the way. "Lucky for you, I'll let you go today." And as he retracted the blade and prepared to go home with Dekisugi. Now they were no longer in the mood to eat noodles, so they might as well go home and take a shower. Just when we were about to go home, a small robot suddenly appeared in front of them. Compared with the previous Zed, this robot was in a miserable state. The armor on the surface was damaged a lot, and the gun in its hand was also very shabby. This robot, isn't it also a falling expert? And as he recognized this little thing, and it seemed to be the same type as the robot just now. When the falling expert saw that his competitor was solved by and as he immediately shot Nobita without saying a word. They had completely forgotten about this little thing, so they were not prepared at all, and were hit hard by this bullet. Doraemon also remembered that Nobita still had a lot of debts. He quickly picked up the falling expert and put 100 yuan in it. This time the falling expert was finally satisfied and let Doraemon put him back in his pocket. And as he also nodded with satisfaction and returned to their home with Dekisugi. Chapter 268, The King of Cloud Monsters. After taking a bath, Yu and as he wiped his head with a towel with satisfaction. I haven't taken a bath for a long time. It's really comfortable. Since they had magic, they basically used magic to clean, and this bathroom was basically abandoned. If it weren't for the good quality of the water pipes, it would probably have rusted now. Lying on the bed, hugging his pillow, his laziness suddenly came back. I feel that it's not bad to be lazy occasionally, so I won't practice tonight and give myself a day off. After Xiaoshan took a bath, she saw Yu and Dashi lingering on the bed and felt that he was a little weird. So she took a book and sat next to him, ready to read for a while and relax. Soon, one night passed, and today was Thursday again. There was a handicraft class today, which was one of his favorite courses. Let me see, let's make a little monster today. So Dashi, with the cooperation of his mental power, made a Godzilla. Every horn and every scale were perfectly restored by his mental power. When the class was about to end, the teacher asked everyone to go up and show their work to the classmates. When he saw the Godzilla made by Yu and Dashi, the teacher's jaw dropped. You actually finished this kind of work in such a short time. You are such a genius. Although it was not the first time, he was still shocked every time. Moreover, Yu and Dashi had clearly rejected the teacher's invitation to bring him into the ceramic art world before, and he couldn't force the students to practice with him. He had no choice but to put aside the shock in his heart and prepare to see other people's works. After seeing the work of Dekisugi, this time Xiaoshan also began to compete with Dashi with his mental power. He used his mental power to make a spaceship that he imagined. Since the last time he flew into the universe, he has been thinking about how to build a real spaceship. This handicraft class just let him conceive the shell of a spaceship first. This spaceship is very realistic. In the clay, that is less than the size of a palm, every detail of the case is fully displayed in front of everyone. It can be seen that he is very serious in conceiving. When the teacher saw their works, he almost knelt down. It's a pity that these two children don't join the pottery world. It's a loss for our art world. With a sigh, the teacher casually looked at the works of others and praised them. But when he saw the last one, the teacher couldn't help it. Who made this? Can this be called a work? It's just a pile of clay, and then a few small clay balls were added on it. The teacher held up a small pile of clay and began to ask who made it. Nobita lowered his head and raised his hand. This thing is really not good, but he also made it with great effort. Even if you don't encourage me, you shouldn't insult me like this, right? In fact, the teacher is not like this usually, but after seeing the monster and the spaceship just now, he really doesn't like other things. In addition, he was in a bad mood because Daisy and Xiaoshan rejected him, so he said these words. After saying this, the teacher also realized that he had spoken out of turn and wanted to apologize, but he couldn't say it. After all, there are so many students watching here. If he apologized like this, how embarrassed he would be. So the teacher pretended to cough twice and carefully put the clay work back to its original place. Then today's class is over. Let's go. After that, the teacher picked up his small bag and hurriedly left the classroom. Today is another evil Thursday, and Yu and Dashi and his friends were left behind to clean up. After everyone finished cleaning, on the way home, they suddenly heard a quacking sound in the sky. Where did the duck come from in this town? Is someone raising it secretly? The two of them began to look around, ready to find the duck that was not allowed to be raised. However, the two of them searched the surroundings with their mental power and did not find any suspicious animals. When they heard the ducks cry again, they both looked up at the same time. That white thing, is it a duck made of clay? But it's too unscientific to be able to fly. The two of them looked at the extremely ugly duck and were stunned for a long time. Then Dashi turned around and asked him, Junfei, what do you think? Dekisugi thought for a moment. I think such a bizarre thing, except for him, no one else should do it, right? They both had the same idea. When encountering such a thing, they should go straight to Nobita's house. Sure enough, the two were playing with clay in the house, and the duck just now was made by them. Doraemon saw them coming and immediately called them. Yu and classmate, Dekisugi classmate, come and play. They both nodded, walked over and picked up the cloud clay on the ground and started making toys with them. Not long after, Yu and Dashi once again molded a Godzilla. Although it was a little simpler, it did have the style of monster. Xiaoshan took a lot of clay and reproduced his work this afternoon. They both wanted to see what their works looked like when they moved. After it was done, Yu and Dazi looked at this small monster and always felt that if it didn't grow bigger, it wouldn't have that kind of deterrence. With a flick of his finger, the enlargement magic quietly fell on his cloud clay. Then Dazi threw Godzilla out of the window. The magic he developed was not a complete spell, so it took a certain amount of time to take effect, and the time was shorter than that of the magnifying lamp. The small plane that was as tall as a person was also completed. Later, he found that this spaceship could actually start. Everyone, let's experience it together. Demission called everyone to get on the small plane and then flew out of the window. Now that we have a spaceship, do we have to fight monsters next? Nobita said what he was thinking at this time. Yuan classmate, where is the monster you made? Yuan as he did not answer and began to count down the magnifying magic he invented. 3, 2, 1, appear. The countdown ended, and a white cloud in the distant sky continued to be enlarged and fell heavily to the ground. Monster Godzilla now understands that he is no longer that thin cloud, but a real monster. The newborn king let out his first roar, and the whole town was scared. People nearby began to flee frantically. If they were stepped on by this thing, it would be no joke. Of course, the essence of that Godzilla was still a cloud, so it was no big deal if they stepped on it. When Nobita saw the monster, he immediately covered his head. Help. I was just talking casually. Doraemon recognized that this was the little monster made by Yu and Dazuki, but for some reason it was enlarged. Xiaoshan began to stabilize the army. Don't panic, everyone. This is a fighter plane. It can fire shells. As he said, the plane made of cloud clay spit out several shells and drew several large circles in the air. The missiles fell on Godzilla's head, and the smoke from the explosion immediately covered the entire monster's head. The fighter plane they were riding flew past Godzilla, but the monster had no reaction. No way. It was killed so easily? Yu and Dazuki looked at Godzilla, who was no longer breathing, and felt a sense of frustration. After all, he spent a lot of effort to make you. Can you give it a little more strength? Just when everyone thought they had won, the smoke finally cleared, revealing the true situation inside. At this time, Godzilla's head had been deformed and began to crack from the middle. Yu and Dazuki covered his head and said, he was really killed? You still say you are the king of monsters? Chapter 269. The storm has appeared, but things are never as simple as they thought. The crack in the middle became bigger and bigger and finally split into two halves. After the shell fell off, the scene inside was finally visible. A grey Godzilla stood in front of everyone again, just a little smaller than before. The crack just now was not death, but a new beginning. A more powerful Godzilla appeared in front of them. Godzilla opened his mouth to the sky, and the clouds in the sky flew into his mouth automatically as if summoned, filling his originally shriveled body. The current Godzilla, in every aspect, has completely surpassed the original Godzilla, and it is targeting the spacecraft in the sky. After shedding the shell, Godzilla not only has a stronger speed and strength, but also has the ability to cast lightning and floods. Just when they were stunned, a burst of lightning came out of Godzilla. Oh no, everyone, hurry up. Doraemon immediately detected the high energy reaction and hurriedly asked the pilot to get out of the way. Then, Godzilla spit out a burst of lightning and hit the tail of their plane. Xiaoshan was flying the plane and yelled to them, the plane is broken, jump out. Doraemon quickly took out the bamboo copter and put it on the three of them, but there was really nothing he could do for Dekisugi, who was still sitting on the top of the driver's seat. And as his evil taste came up again. Since this scene was so familiar, let's try something more familiar. He immediately chanted a spell to attach the Dark Star cloak and threw it to Xiaoshan. The cloak attached to Xiaoshan's body and gradually turned into a tight leather jacket with red, purple, and white colors. Xiaoshan knew that he was safe now, so he wanted to jump out of the plane and leave. But he found that he seemed to be fixed by this cloak, not letting him go. What's going on? Does he want to kill me? No, if that's the case, he wouldn't bring the cloak. The three people behind them had already started the bamboo copter and attached from the plane. The clay plane fell to the ground and finally exploded. Izuki. I'm sorry for you, woo woo. And as his tears flowed like a river, soaking the two people next to him, Nobita flew over with tears and patted his shoulder. It's okay, let's kill this monster now and avenge Izuki. In fact, he was also very sad. Although he had always been jealous of Izuki, this was his friend after all. Doraemon also came to comfort him. Izuki is dead, and we are actually very sad. Don't cry anymore, defeat him, and don't let the tragedy happen again. And as he started acting again, I once heard that when a crisis comes, there will definitely be a giant of light coming together. Doraemon waved his hand. Forget it, I have never heard of this legend in the future, so I'll do it. Nanny. The blue fat man soon lost his pride because a beam of light shot up into the sky and then turned into a new giant. This giant has 3 colors, and there is a timer on his chest that emits blue light. The silver white mask, the shining body and eyes all look like the giant of light he just mentioned. Seeing that Doraemon's jaw couldn't close for a while, and Daisy had to volunteer to take on the responsibility of explaining. Look, that's the legendary giant of light. From 30 million years ago, it only brought the light of hope to people when darkness fell. Doraemon's mouth had already fallen to his knees because he actually saw something more metaphysical than the messenger of God. And Nobita didn't think about these at all, just looked at the giant with stars in his eyes. Isn't this the cosmic Superman? And Daisy held hope and said, the name of this giant is Tigger. This giant is actually Dekisugi, who was transformed into Tigger's tights by and Daisy using the Dark Star cloak, and then enlarged by magic. Dekisugi wanted to curse in the leather suit at this time, but after he said it, it was filtered into a strange roar by the cloak. The monster in front of him didn't care what Izuku said, and he just started to fight against his nemesis. Anyway, he just needed to tear off all the enemies that blocked his way. Zayashi didn't have time to curse and Daisuke, so he had to go and fight Godzilla. The two giants were fighting hard on the ground. And Daisuke and Nobita flew beside them, eating melon seeds, while watching the double show of Izuku and Godzilla. Fight, fight, uppercut. That's right. This snack is good. Eat it. Why don't you eat it? Do you look down on me? And as he stuffed a snack into Nobita's mouth, and then continued to watch the game with relish. Nobita looked at and Daisuke with contempt, and began to complain to Doraemon next to him. He looked so sad just now. Was it all fake? Doraemon nodded. I think it should be. He is in the mood to watch others fight monsters so soon. He must be pretending. As he said, Doraemon put a piece of dorayaki into his mouth. Nobita shouted helplessly, our friend just died here, can't you be more serious? Just as the two of them were arguing, the light on Tigger's chest began to flash. That's right, and as his bad taste made the magic he put on Zayashi only last for 3 minutes. When there is 1 minute left, the blue timer will turn red and start flashing. After the timer light changes, the magic reserved by and Daisuke also enters Zayashi's mind. That's right, this is the ultimate move that Ultraman will only use when his health is low. Dekisugi suppressed his shame and began to accumulate strength by learning that method. After a while, he put his hands in an L shape on his chest with full strength and released Ultraman Tigger's ultimate move, Superior Ray. and Daisuke looked at this scene and thought proudly, this secret method left by crossing is strong enough to amplify the magic power, otherwise it would be really difficult. This superior ray, even if it was amplified by the amplification magic, it still consumed a small part of his magic power. A beam of light rushed into the monster's body and then shot out from Godzilla's back. In the flash of light, the artificial cloud turned into steam. Then Zayashi felt that he had lost control of his body again, jumped up and flew into the sky. When Izuki had already flown out of outer space, darkness suddenly swallowed him, and he returned to the ground. Zayashi, who was teleported back, was still confused. What did he do just now? What did that bastard and Daisuke do to him again? At this time, countless helicopters in the sky flew here, and began to sort out the videos they had just taken. I believe that it won't be long before a lot of new news will come out. And in the next few days, the whole of Japan will discuss this issue. For example, whether the giant of light is good or bad, and what kind of impact it will have on human life. However, the culprit duo this time were playing the game of hunter and prey by a river. Arsehole, stop right there. Izukishin chased after him with a hammer weighing several hundred kilograms. Ha 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 ha, you can't catch up with me. La 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 la. A happy man passed by in front. Chapter 270. The comet is about to pass by again. After more than half an hour of chasing and escaping, Dekisugi finally ran out of energy and had to give up the plan to hunt down Yuya and Daisuke. Back home, this time, Zyadishin threw the task of making dinner to Daisuke. He just made 2 stir-fried dishes and steamed 2 fish, which was considered dinner. In the evening, the two of them still watched the news while eating dinner. According to reporters, a huge monster appeared in the edge of Tokyo this afternoon, about 20 meters tall. He called up the scene they shot, which was the Black Godzilla that had completed its transformation. Along with it, there was also a red and purple giant. Next, Dekisugi appeared with a huge light. People and monsters fought fiercely in the town, but the surrounding area was not damaged much. Seeing this news, Zyadishin almost threw his bowl of rice on Yuya and Daz's head. After finally getting through this news, the next news was about astronomical phenomena. According to the Astronomical Observatory, a comet will pass by tomorrow and can be observed in Japan around 8 o'clock in the evening. Zyadishin was immediately interested because he has always liked stars, so he paid special attention to this information. Hey Daisuke, how about we go to the open space to watch the comet tomorrow night? Tomorrow is Friday anyway. Yuya and Daisuke casually threw the last bite of dinner tonight into his mouth. No problem, I'm usually free all the time. After deciding, the two of them returned to their rooms. As usual, Yuya and Daisuke came to the top of the cloud after finishing his homework to practice swordsmanship and physical skills. Looking at the sky full of stars, the law patterns of stars in the sea of consciousness resonated with the starry sky. Taking this opportunity, he entered a deep level of perception. Although the law of stars cannot be used now, it does not prevent it from being perceived in advance. After all, it is sooner or later that it can be used, and perceiving these laws is a must for advancing to the 4th level magician. But this is not outer space after all, not the real starry sky, so the perception will not last too long. Soon he came out of the state of perception and stared at the starry sky in a daze. Can they really control the stars that are so far away? The more powerful he is, the more insignificant he feels. Yuya and as he clenched his sword, and it was the only thing he could rely on now. The wood spirit staff could no longer provide him with much help, and he needed a new staff. Moreover, his strength had almost been accumulated. If he prepared well tomorrow, as long as he did not consume too much magic power, he would be able to carve the 5th symbol. After school the next day, everyone walked to the open space and discussed the comet that would pass through the sky tonight. Have you heard? There will be a comet passing through tonight. Zyadishin happily shared his news with everyone, hoping that everyone could come to see the stars together. Zyofu also knew the news. I heard about it, but it's a pity that the city is not the best place to watch it. Fat Tiger nodded quickly. Yes, last time my father took me to the mountains. The starry sky there is really beautiful. Zyofu disagreed with what he said. That's not right. I think it must be the Shizang Peninsula, where the view is wide and there is no light pollution. The two of them argued endlessly about this, staring at each other for a long time. This time, Fat Tiger really did not take action, because he felt that he should convince the other party in such a matter. Even if he beat Zyofu up, he would still think he was right in his heart. But the two of them suddenly stared at each other and reached a consensus in an instant. Forget it. Anyway, you don't have the opportunity to go to the mountains or the Shizang Peninsula. You can't understand our happiness. Fat Tiger and Zyofu suddenly united against the outside world and hurt them all. Zyadishin disagreed. Actually, I think that, if you want to see the stars, the best place is above the clouds. The expressions of the two changed instantly, because they thought about it, and it seemed that it was indeed better than what they said. But you can't go there. It's 10,000 meters above the ground, right, Sunia? Sunia nodded. Yes. And I don't think you can see the comet tonight. Look up at the sky. Zyadishin looked up and found that the sky was gloomy now and the sun was not visible at all. It's cloudy now. You can't see the comet at all. Just watch it slowly in your imagination. Haha. Fat Tiger and Sunia ridiculed Dekishin to their heart's content, then walked away with a big laugh, leaving him sulking there. because when he wanted to refute just now, he was quietly stopped by Yu and Dazuki. He also knew that Dazuki didn't want others to know that he was a magician, so he could only let others laugh at him. Although they didn't mainly ridicule Nobita, Nobita was also hurt by them unintentionally. Nobita walked up to Kosuke. "It's okay, I'll go back and ask Doraemon to find a way, and we will definitely see the comet." Kosuke smiled. If he really wanted to see the comet, there were other ways. But Nobita's words really touched him, because among so many people, except for Yu and Dazuki who knew the inside story, only Nobita was willing to come up to comfort him. "Thank you, Nobita-kun." Kosuke responded to Nobita's kindness with a smile. Nobita also nodded vigorously, and there seemed to be some kind of emotion beyond friendship between the two. Yu and Dazuki looked at the two good friends from the side, and couldn't help but think of the jokes of many netizens in his previous life. In fact, the person that Izuki liked the most was Nobita. For this reason, a special party was derived, the Shinobi Party, which was specifically against the Zyongjing Party. After Nobita, Yu and Dazuki and Izuki parted ways, they returned home and prepared to ask Doraemon. Kosuke felt that he was not in a good mood, so he dragged Dazuki and prepared to go buy some books to read. "Doraemon, can you take out the weather box and change the weather to sunny tonight?" Nobita was in his room, asking Doraemon for help. The blue fat man spread his hands helplessly. "Even if you say so, there is nothing I can do, because the weather box is broken." Nobita felt that his world began to fade. Was he going to break his promise to Deki and Shizuka? Seeing Nobita so depressed, Doraemon felt a little bit reluctant. So his computer began to search among his props to see if there was anything that could be used. "By the way, we can also use this prop. Look at my big hammer and star catching net." If you're listening to this novel on a channel other than Fanfic World, it means they downloaded and uploaded it without effort. We cordially invite you to visit our channel, Mundo Fanfic Novelos. There you'll find the original version of this story and you can explore many other novels of various genres. We're waiting for you to immerse yourself in a world of incredible novels. Chapter 271 Star Map Production. The blue fat man took out a hammer and a strange net from his pocket, saying that this could help him. Nobita took the props. "What are these things?" "It seems nothing special. It's just an ordinary hammer. This hammer is specially made. Use it to hit things. No matter how hard you use, it won't break." Doraemon picked up the hammer and hit Nobita on the head. Nobita's eyes suddenly became full of stars, and he couldn't tell the difference between the north and the south. Doraemon took the opportunity to continue explaining. "Then use this star catching net." As he said that, he picked up the star catching net on the ground and caught the stars on Nobita's head. "I see. Can you not use me for experiments in the future?" Nobita shook his head and was relieved from the dizziness. Looking at the stars in the net, Nobita felt very magical. Is this how the stars are obtained? The stars in the star catching net gradually changed from polyhedrons to round spheres, emitting a faint light. So how should we hang it in the sky now? If it's not in the sky, it can't be called a star. The blue fat man smiled slightly. "Yes, this is what we need at this time. Space adhesive." Doraemon applied glue on the star he had just made. He lifted the star up, and when it reached a suitable height, Doraemon stayed for a few seconds, and then let go. After Doraemon let go, the star never fell again, emitting a soft light in the air. Now it can really be called a star. Nobita looked at the star excitedly, and said to Doraemon, "Let's go to the open space to build it, so that everyone can see it." Doraemon nodded. "Okay, you take the hammer. Let's go now." The two came to the open space. Because they were hurt by Fat Tiger and Sunia just now, everyone is not here now. Nobita took the hammer and hit the cement pipe in the open space one after another. Doraemon took the star catching net and began to catch the stars that Nobita knocked out. Half an hour later, Nobita put down his numb hands and knelt on the ground. "I can't bear it anymore. Doraemon, should there be enough stars?" Doraemon looked at the basin full of small stars and shook his head. "No, Nobita. There is only one basin of small stars now, which is not enough. And your power is too weak. You don't even have a first magnitude star." At this time, Dazuki and Zyoshin had returned from buying books. Seeing the duo in the open space, Yu and Dazuki went up to greet them. "Hey, Nobita, Doraemon, why are you two there?" The two of them immediately thought of Yu and Daisuke, the super strong man. Since he has been delivered to their door, why not use him? The two exchanged glances and instantly reached an agreement. You came at the right time. We are making stars now, and need your help. Then, Nobita and the others explained to them in detail the role of the hammer and the star catching net. After listening to the effect, Zyashin began to think about the principle of using the star catching net. So, this star catching net actually saves the energy of a collision, and uses it to emit light. Doraemon nodded. Yes, Izuki is really amazing. He guessed it so quickly. Nobita didn't understand what they were talking about at all, and looked at them in confusion. Kozen took a step back, and gave the home court to Yu and Daisuke. He immediately understood, and rolled up his sleeves, to prepare for the battle. If you want more and bigger stars, you just need to use this hammer to hit hard objects hard, right? Leave it to me. Yu and as he picked up the hammer, swung it a few times casually, to get used to the weight, and then aimed at the thickest cement pipe in the open space and hit it hard. Dang, the hammer collided with the cement pipe, and it actually made a melodious sound like ringing a bell. 5 or 6 huge stars also popped out at this time. Doraemon quickly caught the stars with his star catching net, and then began to check the harvest this time. It's amazing. Each of these 6 stars is a first magnitude star. Doraemon then began to calculate. Nobita has to use all his strength to hit 2 second magnitude stars. In other words, the strength you just used is equivalent to 9 Nobitas. Nobita felt very uncomfortable when he heard Doraemon's calculation. Others can use 9 times the strength of his own with just a casual hit. Isn't the gap between people really too big? That's about it. I'm going to speed up. Doraemon, you have to keep up with me. Then, Yu and as he increased his output and made his speed become 2 hammers per second. Doraemon was busy beside him and could hardly keep up with his pace. Although the speed became faster, the strength he used was still not small. Each hammer hit 6 or 7 first magnitude stars. In a few minutes, the other basin was also filled with huge first magnitude stars. Doraemon called a halt. Okay, we have enough first magnitude stars now, but we still need some second magnitude stars. Zyashin stepped forward. Thank you for your hard work just now. Let me make the rest of the stars. Yu and as he nodded and handed the hammer in his hand to Zyashin. Because it takes less force to make a second magnitude star, he is not very suitable. Dekisugi's strength is more suitable. He should be able to make a few second magnitude stars with a casual hammer. Dekisugi swung the hammer and hit another cement pipe. When the two collided, 3 yellow stars appeared. Doraemon caught them with a net and saw the 3 second magnitude stars with smaller brightness inside. He immediately smiled with satisfaction. Okay, Dekisugi, this is about the amount of force you need. If you use more force, these 3 stars will be combined into a first magnitude star. Zyashin nodded. No problem, I will remember this amount of force. Just now, Zyashin used about half of the limit. As long as he controls it well, there will be no problem. Nobita felt even worse. Was Izuki-chan so much stronger than him? It was uncomfortable. After more than 10 minutes, 2 pods of small stars appeared next to Doraemon. And Izuki-chan also began to feel a little tired because of the long-term work. Seeing that there were enough stars, Doraemon took out a few strips of space glue and handed them to them. Now what we have to do is to use this glue to stick these stars in the air. Let's do it together according to this star map. Doraemon took out a constellation manual from his pocket and began to instruct everyone how to place the stars just now. Originally, Yu and as he wanted to command with him, but after thinking about it, it would be more troublesome if 2 people commanded together. As the leader of the team, only one is enough, and the extra leader will only make the team chaotic. In this way, they slowly glued 7 or 8 constellations, and Doraemon compared them one by one with the star map to confirm that there were no mistakes. The stars on the ground were almost used up, and the stars in the sky were also arranged by everyone. The 4 stood on the ground, looking at the constellations they made with satisfaction. Zyashin took the star map and began to compare. Let me see. Andromeda, Scorpio, Leo are exactly the same as the real starry sky. A great success. Chapter 272 Collapse. Looking at the stars in the sky, Yu and as he suddenly asked, Doraemon, these stars have been glued on by us. Are they going to stay there forever? The blue fat man shook his head. It's okay. No matter which star it is, it can only shine for 24 hours. His words filled in some of Yu and Daz's doubts about the original work. At that time, he thought that these stars would always hang here. After Zyashin checked it, he returned the star map to Doraemon. Nobita also said excitedly, let's go and call others to come over. Let them appreciate the starry sky we made. Okay. The other three agreed loudly and went to call others enthusiastically. After agreeing with everyone to gather here at night, the four of them met again in the open space. Doraemon looked at everyone. Everyone should have completed their tasks, right? They answered as a matter of course. Of course. Is there anyone who would be lazy? That's good. We'll meet here after dinner tonight. Yu and Dazi nodded. No problem. Let's go back to cook now. See you tonight. After that, the two groups separated in the open space and left. Back home, the two of them were full of enthusiasm in the cause of cooking. Now they are all imagining what the starry sky will look like tonight. Still eating and watching TV, the news was over, and their meal was almost finished. Using magic to wash the dishes, Yu and Dazi simply cleaned up the place and prepared to go out. Although they hadn't done their homework today, the two of them were not panicked at all. Anyway, tomorrow is Saturday, and it doesn't make much difference whether they do their homework or not. When they came to the open space, it was still empty at this time. Yu and Dazi used the induction technique to look around, and everyone was still eating, but they were almost done. It was almost 7 o'clock at this time. The sky was already much darker, and the stars in the open space emitted a faint light. As the light became stronger, from their angle, it was just like looking at the stars in the sky. I didn't expect that the artificial starry sky could look so beautiful. Zyashin was standing in the open space, looking like she had never seen the world. And as he said with some regret, didn't I take you to the top of the cloud? The starry sky there is not worse than here. He turned around, of course, but I'm really moved to see this in the city. And as he remembered the last time he went to the universe, the feeling of being surrounded by stars. That kind of beauty and shock are far beyond the artificial starry sky here. When Yu and Dazi began to reminisce about the past, the others had finished their meal and came to the open space. Doraemon waved and ran towards us. Yu, Dekisugi, you came so early. Yu and AG nodded at them. Yes, I rushed here right after dinner. Yasuo and Haruo also came to the open space, as well as Shizuka and Yumako. The other minor characters also arrived at today's destination a few minutes later. Wow, the starry sky here is really beautiful. Everyone exclaimed after arriving here. It's just the beginning. When it gets dark, it will become even more beautiful. At this time, Yumako suddenly pointed to a nebula. Wow, is this Andromeda? Doraemon nodded. Yes, the starry sky here is made according to the star map, and it is exactly the same as the real starry sky. After hearing this news, everyone became even happier. Even Mr. Kamishiro, who usually treats people with a serious face, happily sat on the floor to appreciate the starry sky. It's so beautiful. Mr. Kamishiro also took out a wine glass, which was rare, and sat in his yard to look at the starry sky and drink. When everyone started to count how many stars there were in the sky, two unpleasant people suddenly came from behind. Look, Fat Tiger, they have a starry sky. These two people were Fat Tiger and Sunia, who were out for a walk after dinner. Damn it, these guys made a starry sky, but they didn't even invite us to appreciate it. Fat Tiger and Sunia looked at the crowd in front of them very unhappy. They were ready to think of ways to ruin everyone's mood of watching the stars. The people in the open space looked for a long time, and at this moment, someone made a different voice, but there is no comet here. If you can't see the comet tonight, you will feel very sad, right? After hearing what this person said, everyone also began to become depressed. But no one prayed to Doraemon, because everyone knew that it was tiring enough to make this starry sky. What else could they expect? But the kind-hearted Nobita wanted to satisfy everyone, so he asked them to think of a solution together. Is it really impossible to make a comet? Doraemon thought for a moment and said, a comet must slide in the sky to have a flame tail, and the material is different from that of an ordinary star. I don't know how to make it. Zyashin thought and said, comets are made of ice and dust. Can you try to knock on ice? Doraemon was very uncertain about this. I don't know either, because I have never tried it. Then the blue fat man took out a star making kit and a large piece of ice from his pocket. He handed the hammer to Yu and Daisuke, who went over and hit the ice hard. This time the hammer lived up to everyone's expectations, and a blue star jumped out of the ice. Doraemon, who was quick-eyed and quick-handed, immediately caught the star with a star-catching net. Everyone looked at the net nervously, and a blue star was forming with a long flame tail. Seeing that they had made a comet, everyone cheered happily. Yeah, great. We really succeeded in making a comet. Doraemon immediately took out the space glue and stuck the comet in the sky. This time, everyone looked at the brand new comet with satisfaction and smiled. But a stick appeared out of thin air, breaking everyone's beautiful scene. If you don't call me to see the stars, then let's look at the dark clouds together. As he said that, Fat Tiger's hand did not stop, and he poked down several bright first magnitude stars. Zyadishan stepped forward to argue with him. You can't do this. It was afternoon. Stop it, Zyadishan said, and suddenly shouted in panic. Because at this time, Fat Tiger's stick poked down the comet that had just been made. No, everyone, leave. Doraemon suddenly reminded everyone to leave. This place is about to collapse. As soon as the voice fell, because someone was able to destroy the stability of the space glue, the stars in this area began to fall down. Seeing this situation, even the best-tempered Dekisugi couldn't stand it. He immediately sprinted at full speed and appeared in front of Fat Tiger almost instantly. What? Before Fat Tiger could react, Zyadishan punched Fat Tiger in the stomach. Fat Tiger was caught off guard and was almost vomited his dinner by Zyadishan's punch. This was not over yet, and another uppercut followed, knocking Fat Tiger 1 meter off the ground, and then he fell heavily to the ground. Ziofu was stunned for a moment and immediately threw down his stick and fled the scene. Help, Mom. Chapter 273 Best Friend. The stars in the sky were still falling. The starry sky they had worked so hard to build was destroyed just like that. Zyadishan looked at these light spots with heartache, wishing to hit Fat Tiger on the ground twice more. Doraemon was helpless about this situation because the space here could not use glue for the time being. In an unstable space, space adhesives cannot stick things to the space. Soon, the starry sky here collapsed without a trace, and everyone looked at the stars on the ground and felt very sad. Seeing that the atmosphere here was so sad, Yu and Azzy was not very happy either. After all, he also put a lot of effort into the things here. However, seeing that everyone was in a bad mood, Yu and Azzy took the lead in tidying up his mood and silently began to prepare magic. Forget it, since the artificial stars can no longer be seen. Let's take a look at the real ones. Thinking of this, his bad taste suddenly came up again, and his eyes gradually moved to Demishan. Demishan was feeling sad about the comet on the ground, and suddenly a chill came to his heart, as if something terrible was about to happen. Yu and Azzy walked up to him and handed him a pair of dungarees. Our family has a traditional method to pray for the blessing of the stars. Do you want to try it? Zyadishan was happy when he heard that he could see the stars again. Really? What method? He did not doubt what Yu and Azzy said and took the clothes handed to him. The method is very simple. Just put on this clothes and dance. Then Yu and Azzy transmitted a dance move that everyone loves to see to him with his mind. Are you sure this method works? Zyadishan saw the dance he transmitted and immediately looked disgusted. And your ancestors had such fashionable clothes hundreds of years ago. It's really strange. Yu and Azzy nodded vigorously. Yes, although it has lost the function of praying, you can definitely see the stars. And you must get rid of the right strap to have a soul. While saying this, Yu and Azzy began to get the camera at home. Why not you? Chumushin suddenly became clever. If it's your family's method, it would be most appropriate for you to go, right? Yu and Azzy immediately found a plausible reason. Isn't it for you? If you learn this method, can't you watch the stars anytime? Chumushin had no idea of his sinister intentions. In order to let everyone see the stars and learn how to pray, he had no choice but to agree. He immediately became excited. Great, great. The camera and overalls are ready. Let's get started. The camera had been placed not far away by Yu and Azzy. After confirming that it could be filmed clearly, He let Chumashin stand in the most conspicuous place. Listen everyone, in order to let us see the stars again, Chumashin decided to use an ancient method. Yu and Dazi began to publicize. Everyone must thank him for making such a great sacrifice for us. Zyadishin quickly covered her face and said to him, this kind of thing can be done quietly, why do you have to say it out loud? Yu and Dazi turned his head and said seriously, you don't understand this, praying for blessings will only be effective if more people see it. And let everyone know how much you have paid for them. Zyadishin realized that something was wrong, as if this bastard just wanted everyone to see him dancing. But at this point, he had no way out. So he went out and started shaking his shoulders with his back to everyone, especially the white strap, which he specifically instructed to be thrown away. While Yu and Dazi was filming this set of classic scenes from behind, he began to communicate with heaven and earth to confirm that he could disperse the clouds. When he finished his song, Yu and Dazi reminded him loudly, you must shout out the last sentence. Demishin suppressed his shame and shouted out a Chinese sentence, just because you are so beautiful. At this moment, the clouds in the sky all dispersed at this moment. The sky seemed to have been washed, and every star was clearly visible. The most beautiful one was the comet that passed through the sky. Everyone looked at the sky and was deeply shocked by the beautiful scene. Yu and Dazi also successfully got Zyadishin's black history in his camera, but the subsequent development was somewhat beyond his expectations. You are so amazing, Zyadishin. Your dancing posture is so handsome. Shizuka and Yamazi and other girls had little stars in their eyes, looking at Zyadishin with admiration. He was stunned immediately. How could this happen? Is it the difference in culture or gender? Is it the distortion of human nature or the decline of morality? Zyadishin didn't know why, but he still felt very ashamed. But the sky did become clear, which also showed that Yu and Dazi's method should be correct. So Zyadishin looked at Dazi, only to find that he was staring at a camera, and he seemed very happy. He immediately rushed over, took the camera, and started to check the content inside. As he expected, it was really a video of him singing and dancing before. He looked up at Yu and Dazi again. It was just your prank just now, you bastard. He finally couldn't help it, holding his stomach and laughing out loud. It was really too funny. Zyadishin quickly deleted the content in the camera, otherwise he dared to say that Yu and Dazi would use this thing to laugh at him for the rest of his life. Putting the camera away, Chumashin once again controlled the matter to condense a big hammer. Yu and Dazi, I will never let you go today. The two of them started the popular game of chase and escape again today. Of course, in the end, Chumashin was forced to stop because of exhaustion. Yu and Dazi used the levitation technique to catch him. You actually exhausted yourself like this time. Don't you take care of your body? He kept adjusting his breathing in the air, still very angry. If you can do less pranks, then I will learn to cherish myself. Yu and Dazi didn't care about his anger. Anyway, he had no strength now, and he could only talk at most. After returning home, they started to do their homework, but Chumashin was still angry. He still didn't care. Anyway, Chumashin couldn't beat him. No matter how angry he was, could he still fight with him? After finishing his homework, Yu and Dazi came to the top of the cloud and prepared to break through. Today, he consumed a little magic power, and it only took half an hour to make up for it. After resting, Yu and Dazi immediately started to write the fifth talisman. The process was as smooth as expected, and his strength was improved again. Satisfied, he returned to the room. At this time, Zyadishin was still reading. Seeing that Yu and Dazi was back, he washed up with him, and then the two went to bed. After knocking on the cement pipe for so long today, and chasing the fugitive for more than half an hour, I was very tired. The next morning, Yu and Dazi got up and rubbed his messy hair, preparing to wash up. Who did this? Just in front of the sink, Dazi looked at his face and made an incredible cry. At this time, Yu and Dazi's face was full of the words bad guy, which disfigured him. He hurriedly washed his face with water and soap, but the guy used a waterproof pen to write, which could not be washed off at all. When Yu and Dazi walked out of the bathroom door, he saw Chumashin quietly watching him not far away. At this time, Chumashin still had a smile on his face and seemed to be very satisfied with his behavior. Very good, you are cruel this time. Yu and Daisuke, who knew he was in the wrong, did not pursue the matter, but turned back to continue washing his face. Zyadishin watched his actions at the door, and her heart was full of joy. You guys have been messing with me all the time, and you dare to take a camera to take pictures of my black history. The revenge of the arrows in the past few days has finally been avenged. Chapter 274 Sunia's birthday. At Sunia's home, he was discussing with his mother about holding a birthday party for himself. Mom, you know, my birthday is February 29th, which is rare. Why not hold it today? Sunia's mother thought about it and felt that this was not a bad idea. After all, her son really needed a birthday party to celebrate. Well, I'll find 2 part-time workers to set up the scene, and you go and call to invite classmates. Mom agreed to his request and then went back to her room to start calling people. Sunia also went to the corridor and started to call Fat Tiger, Nobita and others one by one to invite them. At this time, Fat Tiger received Sunia's invitation. As a lifelong friend, Fat Tiger of course agreed. Then what should I give him? I don't seem to have anything to show for it. Fat Tiger looked at the comics and toys on the table in front of him and was immediately worried. Sunia would definitely not be short of these things, and most of these things were snatched by himself. If he took these things as gifts, he would not have the face to say it. It's really abominable. I don't have anything to show off right now. Oh, I can give him that. Fat Tiger immediately took a stack of paper, wrote and drew on it, and prepared to give it to Sunia. After Nobita received Sunia's invitation, he began to discuss with Doraemon what to do. We are asked to go to his house to attend the party so soon. There is no time to prepare. The two began to panic. By the way, Doraemon, why don't you give him some of your future props? I believe he will be very happy. Doraemon refused without thinking. This is impossible. Future props cannot be given to others casually. This is our rule. Nobita also knew that this could not be compromised and said dejectedly, so what? Sunia is so rich, do you want me to give him something? Oh, I have money. In that case, give him this. After Shizuka was invited, she didn't have any hesitation. Today is Sunia's birthday. I believe he won't like it if I give him anything else. As she said this, Shizuka put on her apron and went into the kitchen to prepare. Since he doesn't like material things, then I'll give him something I made by myself. Then, Shizuka began to prepare the dough. She planned to make some handmade cookies and send them to Sunia. Sunia picked up the phone and planned to call Takumi-chan and Yu and Daisuke to invite them to the birthday party. But his hand suddenly stopped in front of the phone. What is their home number? After thinking about it carefully, he realized that he didn't have much contact with Yu and Daisuke, so he really didn't have each other's phone number. He could only put down the receiver of the landline helplessly. What should I do now? Do I have to go to them in person? But he quickly denied himself. Forget it. This is unfair to others. And they wanted to bully me yesterday, so I won't invite them to this birthday party. After rubbing off a layer of skin on his face, Yu and Daisuke successfully washed off the mark left by Sunia on his face. After breakfast, the two of them discussed that, after eating for a while this morning, they would go buy some vegetables. At 10 o'clock in the morning, the two of us picked up the baskets and went out to buy vegetables. When we returned with a full load, we suddenly met Nobita and his friends on the road. Hey, Nobita, what are you guys going to do now? Nobita looked at them, as if it was a matter of course. What else can I do? Of course, I'm going to attend Sunia's birthday party. Daisuke and Zyadishin looked at each other. Why didn't they know about this? Yu and Daisuke decided to ask him about the details first. Nobita, when did they invite you? Nobita thought for a while and said, it was probably around 9 o'clock in the morning. At that time, he started calling one by one to invite them. After listening to what Nobita said, the two of them were silent for a while, and then they organized their words and sent them blessings. Well, you must have fun. Demishin sounded a little depressed because he was not invited to other people's birthday parties. Yu and Daisuke took out a glowing stone from his pocket and handed it to Nobita. This is a small thing he made when he was free. It can continuously absorb the energy around it and glow. We won't go. Please give our gift to Sunia for me. Nobita took the small stone handed over by Daisuke and asked them, why don't you go? Did Sunia not invite you? They shook their heads and said nothing, and walked straight home. Nobita and Doraemon took the stone that Yuya and Dazi gave to Sunia and watched them go away. It's really strange. Did Sunia really not invite them? With a lot of questions in his mind, Nobita walked into Sunia's house. Dazi and Zyashin returned home, and he looked very upset. He recalled all the previous plots. Except for Shizuka, who invited him on her birthday, no one else would invite Dekisugi. From this point of view, Zyashin is really far away from them. Zyashin was still absent-minded when making lunch. It can be seen that this blow was very big for him. Before long, they felt the changes in the world, as if someone had once again changed the rules. What's going on? This feeling. Did Doraemon use the what if phone booth again? The two of them looked up at the sky, curious about what happened to Sunia. After dinner, they came to Sunia's door to see what was going on. Sunia was now moving things outside, and he yelled beside him, "Hurry up, the house is no longer ours." The two of them walked over to Nobita and asked them, "What's wrong? What happened here? Why did Sunia and his family suddenly move away? You're talking about this?" Sunia used the what if phone booth and said he wanted to see what would happen if his family went bankrupt. Doraemon pointed at Sunia and whispered about the current situation. And as he covered his face speechlessly, this prodigal son really dared to do anything. If his father knew about this, it would probably be a light punishment to beat Sunia and put him in the hospital, right? Zyashin was also very speechless about this. It's okay for you to play behind their backs, but you're playing so big. Soon, Zyofu and his friends took some old clothes and left quickly. And as he was really surprised at their mobility, because the three of them didn't even have the slightest regret. That's right, their family quickly accepted the fact that their family went bankrupt, and then moved out happily. Everyone followed them and left, ready to see what they would do now. Their family came to the back mountain, found a cave, and lived in it. "Mom, be careful, there are spiders here." Zyofu used a stick to drive all the insects out of the cave so that his mother could live in it with peace of mind. His father was classifying the originally irregular cave and making a few beds for rest. When everyone was almost settled, they took the tools they had just made and went out to prepare today's lunch. Chapter 275 Helmet of Insight. Seeing that Sunia and the others were doing the same thing today, they went back first. After all, we haven't even had lunch yet, and if we don't go back, the food will get cold. After lunch, Zyashin was still very sad that Sunia didn't invite him this time, so he went to read a book alone. And as he was not in a good mood either, so he also found a book to read. That guy is really something. After all, I saved him several times, but now he didn't even come to his birthday party. In this cold and gloomy world, only this can give yourself a little warmth. In the evening, after they finished dinner, they didn't go to see Sunia again. 2 days later, the world returned to its original state under the control of the telephone booth, and Sunia's birthday came to an end. In the blink of an eye, it was Tuesday. Because of the final exams, Zyashin urged him to prepare for the review. But and as he said that he didn't want to read because it was too boring, so he just found an excuse to go out and play. "Hey Nobita." Nobita was walking on the street, and suddenly someone patted his shoulder, which made his back cold. Nobita turned his head stiffly, and Fat Tiger behind him was looking at him calmly. "This is what my mother bought for me. What do you think of this dress?" Fat Tiger asked him, while complaining about how bad this dress was, and how he didn't like it. Nobita followed Fat Tiger's words and continued, "This dress is really not very good, and the pattern is a bit old. It really doesn't suit you." Who knew that? After listening to Nobita's comments, Fat Tiger suddenly became angry. "What did you say? Even if this dress is not good, it was bought by my mother for me. How dare you say that?" So Fat Tiger grabbed Nobita's collar and beat him up. "Doraemon, save me. What should I do to avoid being beaten by Fat Tiger?" The blue fat man listened to Nobita's story and began to search his pockets. "Okay, I get it. You just want to know what Fat Tiger is thinking, so take this insight helmet." Nobita put the helmet on his head and began to receive the thoughts of people around him. "Nobita, this guy's really something. He knows how to ask me for help all day long. When will he grow up?" This is what he heard from Doraemon's inner voice, complaining about his childishness. Okay, this prop is really useful. This way I can know what to say and when. Nobita happily took his helmet and went out. Doraemon sat there, thinking about what kind of trouble he would cause next. Nobita was walking on the street and suddenly met Sunia. When Sunia saw Nobita, he immediately walked towards him and greeted him. Nobita, what are you doing now? Are you wearing a helmet to imitate an ancient warrior? But what Nobita heard was, if Nobita says yes, I will show off my medieval armor to him. Nobita had to refuse. No, I'm not interested in medieval armor and I don't want to see it. Sunia was stunned. How did Nobita know that I wanted to show off my medieval armor to him? So he asked the doubts in his heart, and Nobita's IQ dropped again. You said this because Doraemon's props can let me hear your voices. When Sunia heard this function, he began to think about how to grab it. But Nobita, who got the helmet, naturally heard Sunia's thoughts and immediately told him to give up the idea. Don't think about it. I already know what you are thinking, and I won't give you the helmet. At this moment, a pair of hands appeared from behind and took off the helmet on Nobita's head. Oh. In other words, as long as you have this helmet, you can hear other people's thoughts, right? Fat Tiger said as he put the purple helmet on his head. Nobita quickly said, Fat Tiger, actually hearing other people's thoughts is not a fun thing. Can you give it back to me? Sunia also began to join in. That's right, Fat Tiger, just give the helmet back to Nobita. Sunia is not stupid. It doesn't matter if he can't get the helmet, but this thing can't fall into Fat Tiger's hands. If Fat Tiger gets it, he will hear everyone's true thoughts about him, and then things will be really serious. But they forgot that Fat Tiger can now hear their thoughts. The voice that appeared in Fat Tiger's ears at this time was completely different from what they said. If this dead gorilla Fat Tiger gets this helmet, we will really have no way to survive. This was the common voice of Nobita and Sunia, which made Fat Tiger furious. So this is what you think of me? You actually called me a dead gorilla. You are really tired of living. Fat Tiger, who was full of anger, grabbed Nobita and Sunia in one hand, and then Fat Tiger greeted Nobita and Sunia warmly, and finally threw them to the ground. Now I want to listen to other people's thoughts. I want to see what impression those guys have of me. Fat Tiger clapped his hands and was very satisfied with his masterpiece just now. Not long after, Fat Tiger met Angshan, who was reading a comic. Hey, isn't this Angshan? What book are you reading? How about lending it to me? Angshan subconsciously withdrew his hand and then had to hand his comic book to Fat Tiger. Haha, so Fat Tiger, you really like this comic book, then you can take it. But what Fat Tiger heard at this time was, how come this guy's not tied up again and comes out to cause trouble? Fat Tiger first accepted the comic book with a smile and then grabbed Anxiang's collar. Who did you say was not tied up? Dare to curse me in your heart, I will not let you go. Anxiang struggled violently in Fat Tiger's hand. How do you know I think so? Fat Tiger ignored Anxiang's doubts and pressed him to the ground and rubbed him. He clapped his hands with satisfaction and took the spoils he had just obtained and left. These guys, one by one, all cursed me in their hearts. I will cure their bad habits today. Not long after, Fat Tiger beat up all the children who usually came here and got a lot of things. Yu and Dazzy just came back at this time and met Anxiang, who was covered in injuries. Anxiang, were you chased by a car? How did you become like this? When Anxiang saw me, he immediately threw himself on Yu and Dazzy and cried. Because after being beaten by Fat Tiger, everyone would not dare to tell their parents when they got home. If the matter was reported to the parents, then Fat Tiger's crazy revenge would follow. So after being bullied, everyone basically dared to be angry, but not to speak out. Now that someone who can discipline him has finally come, Anxiang of course has to cling to his thighs. Let me tell you, Fat Tiger can't know what other people are thinking. I was beaten after he saw through me. Yu and Dazzy stood there and thought for a while. Okay, this is probably another Doraemon prop. I'll go teach him a lesson. Then he pushed Anxiang away with a look of disgust. Okay, get off my legs quickly, or I'll be really angry. No, you must teach me swordsmanship. I need to protect myself. Are you sure? So, Anxiang was beaten again today. End of this chapter. Thank you very much for reaching the end. Don't forget to like. Looking for more exclusive content and immediate access? Subscribe to our Patreon. Remember, every like, subscription, or donation encourages us to continue. Thanks to everyone. See you in the next video.